Is that not the most beautiful thing you have ever seen? The new flagpoles on the north lawn and the south lawn of your White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the federal city of Washington, D.C. Welcome to RSBN Live at 12:30 Eastern. I'm Robert McNeely covering the latest news from the Trump White House. And I am loving every minute of what we saw constructed earlier in the week. President Trump going out there talking about how there will be this big, beautiful flower bed around the north lawn flagpole and the south lawn flagpole, taking the time to speak with the construction workers who put that all together. What a wonderful moment. And then he took time with the White House press pool to answer many questions. And he said, wow, it's hot out here. The heat of the summer, the joy of June 20th, 2025, the summer solstice tomorrow, the longest day of the year. And we're happy that you can join us on the right side of history. For immediate release, Vice President J.D. Vance to visit Los Angeles, California later today. He will travel out west where he will tour a multi-agency federal joint operations center and a federal mobile command center, meeting with leadership and Marines to deliver brief remarks. Also, President Trump is urging Congress once again on the Senate side to pass the one big beautiful bill to safeguard America's sovereignty. President Trump has overseen a dramatic reversal in the nation's border security, going from 62,000 illegal immigrants released into the country in a single month under the Biden administration to zero under the Trump administration, and achieving the lowest ever numbers of daily illegal crossings. Now we are at a defining crossroads: pass the one big beautiful bill and fortify that extraordinary progress, or don't, and risk jeopardizing the nation's safety and sovereignty once again. Pass the one big beautiful bill and we will invest in securing our homeland. We will make the largest ever one-time investment in border security, enough to detain and deport at least 1 million illegals every year, and massively expand detention capacity. Give a boost to our frontline heroes who are sacrificing their time, their treasure, their talent, their very livelihood every single day. We will not only give the men and women of Border Patrol and ICE a $10,000 a year bonus in each of the next 4 years, we will also deliver much needed reinforcements to finish the job with funding for 10,000 new ICE personnel, 5,000 new customs officers, and 3,000 new Border Patrol agents. Finish President Trump's border wall. We will secure full operational control of our southern border by constructing hundreds of miles of border wall, river barriers, and vehicle and pedestrian barriers critical for repelling future foreign invasion and maintaining our national security. If we fail to act, we risk squandering the historic gains we've achieved and setting the nation back on a course of chaos and vulnerability. Also, service workers rally behind President Trump as part of this one big beautiful bill in order to have promises made, promises kept from the campaign trail. In fact, we were right there in Tucson, Arizona, when President Trump offered the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security benefits, and the benefits our seniors worked hard to put together in their careers. Hourly workers in the service, hospitality, and retail industries overwhelmingly back President Donald Trump's bold no tax on tips plan in the one big beautiful bill, according to a new survey saying tax-free tips would bring them needed financial stability and relief. In fact, 83% of hourly workers want to see no tax on tips become law, with just 4% of them saying otherwise. These results suggest that any measure increasing the amount immediately available in income, such as untaxed tips, would provide meaningful stabilizing support for a large segment of hourly workers and the workforce, as the report says. We'd like to thank our sponsors on the right side of history. There's a COVID variant that is out there that is harassing people from sea to shining sea. And there is one online pharmacy that can make sure your health is protected, and that is allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Pay less for prescription medications with code RSBN20. You can scan that QR code right there on the screen, or go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Pay less for prescription medications. 20% off now through June 30th. A great deal, roughly 10 days left in that. And this is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, also NAD+, mebendazole, and 200 essential medications, emergency medical kits, and antibiotics that you can get through this online store. They have doctors ready to go 24/7. We have interviewed the great owner of this organization, as well as the pharmacists who work so hard and diligently putting American health first before other companies. You think about the insurance companies that buy up pharmacies, it's a conflict of interest, right? Not with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And this is all on the heels of President Trump signing that great executive order in order to bring down prescription medications and their cost for the consumer and the patient. So pay less for prescription medications with code RSBN20. 20% off for you today. Scan the QR code now, and let's make America healthy again. Thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And once your health is in order, you're prepared, you have that medicine cabinet filled, how about let's talk savings, retirement, also your 401k IRA with Colonial Metals Group, the best in the business, because the Communist Party in China wants a financial Pearl Harbor against the United States. We've seen Confucius Institutes on our campuses. We have seen the buying up of primetime farmland near our military installations. How insane is that? Thank God President Trump and Republican governors, especially in the Southeast, combating those actions. But regardless of who's in charge, you have to think about what's happening in the world and how that can harm your savings. So protect your IRA, 401k with gold and silver, 100% tax-free with freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Scan the QR code now. Colonial Metals Group, the best in the business. U.S. Attorney and former Judge Jeanine Pirro, she loves this group. She loves these patriots, and she's a patriot herself. Join the many calling for the savings in your retirement properties, 401ks, IRAs, with gold and silver. Visit Colonial Metals Group today. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. We're breaking down all the latest news, what's happened over the course of the last week at the White House, inside the Beltway, within Congress, and outside of the Beltway as well. And a programming note and reminder, please feel free to write into the show. Feedback at rsbn.tv. We read everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and mostly because we want to know if there's a story in your neck of the woods that we can highlight. We're honored to be the voice for the voiceless and your voice out there on the correct side of history, the right side of history, Right Side Broadcasting Network. We've been around for 10 years now, just after President Trump going down that golden escalator on June 16th of 2015 with his beautiful wife, our First Lady, and family gathered around him, talking about securing the border, talking about saving the American dollar, talking about the neoliberal and neocon stupidity and selfishness that lined pockets of politicians but harmed the middle class. It bankrupted Detroit and then bankrolled Beijing. We can remember the auto pen back in 99 and 2000 with then Vice Premier Xi Jinping of the Chinese Communist Party visiting the Clinton White House, and that Joe Biden, sleepy, crooked, whatever his nickname might be, cheers to the Chinese Communist Party, according to the auto pen, as he clanked champagne glasses with Xi Jinping, saying that bringing China into the World Trade Organization would be good for the United States. Nothing was further from the truth. And we suffered the ramifications of that until this great, wonderful public servant known as Donald Trump came down the golden escalator to serve the American people as the 45th and then 47th president of the United States. And I can't get over Old Glory flying in front of the North Lawn there. It looks gorgeous on this sunshine-filled day in the federal city, your nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Of course, we look forward to our future trips there, as we were en route last week for that big, beautiful military parade. And you could see it in the distance there, right before the Washington Monument, Constitution Avenue, where the president's box was to celebrate the United States Army and 250 years of glory. their birthday on Flag Day, which also coincides with President Trump's birthday. And again, sir, President Trump, happy birthday. We hope you had a wonderful time celebrating. He downplayed it, of course, talking about our great army, our military, all of the 6 branches of the United States services and those state, local patrols who helped with that great, big, beautiful parade. In addition to our Secret Service, it was a star-studded event and a day I will never forget. One of the best parades I've ever attended, and it really put me in the mood for the 4th of July, our birthday right around the corner. Now, as one of Nevada food service workers put it best, I don't know what the holdup is, and I don't know what the policies are, but if we can cut the BS now, it can help out a lot of people. The no tax on tips plan is just one aspect of President Trump's day one commitment to deliver relief to Americans ravaged by years and years of Biden inflation. The auto pen tried to destroy this country. Thank God it failed. And I'll call it it because I think they like pronouns, if I'm not mistaken, from the last administration. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but he, him, she, it, what, when, where, why, z, zer, yada, yada, yada. Oh, there's what, 257 genders according to Harvard. But anywho, in the first 5 months, President Trump, having been in office, has overseen the largest increase in blue-collar wage growth in 60 years, lower costs, and explosive job growth for native-born Americans. That progress alone will be supercharged by the one big, beautiful bill, which will deliver the largest tax cut in American history for working and middle-class Americans. Tax cuts for seniors, no tax on overtime, and much, much more. So we look forward to all of those successes. Come on, Senate, what are you doing? Let's get to work. Let's get this done. Get it on the desk for President Trump come the 4th of July. Also, by the 4th of July, hopefully before, if you order via angelpaste.com, one of our best sponsors here at the network, the Miracle Cream, which is good year-round, but I'm telling you, can really help your dry skin, can make your skin glowing and wonderful as you paint the town red. Experience the miracle today with their Miracle Cream, the vitamin B, non-GMO, no chemical lotion that is just phenomenal. You've seen me try it here at the network. You almost had to blind your eyes with how glowing my hands were after I put it on. How about their natural mosquito repellent that is good around all of your family barbecues as you celebrate Flag Day to the 4th of July, or just getting together to enjoy some pool time. And it's a wonderful product, really. It's the immunity option as well, which is their orange. Also vitamin C infused. So many things to choose from with a facial spray for guys and gals. Again, paint the town red with angelpaste.com. They are a Christian company. They hire veterans and they love this great country, all from their home headquarters of Spring, Texas, right off the Gulf of America. In the Houston Metroplex, we love the Lone Star State and we love angelpaste.com. Experience the miracle today. And once you have your beautiful skin glowing, maybe take a quick trip over to amac.us. It's amac.us/RSBN. You become a member now for as low as $12 a year. And you don't have to just be a senior citizen or elderly to join this group. I love this group. I've joined this group. So many others across our great land can join this group. Heck, if you're in first grade and you're a patriot, you can join this group. Save money, save America. Become a member for as low as $12 a year right now. And this is great because actually the biggest lobby in the United States has to deal with retirement benefits. And some of those organizations, they don't fight for patriotism. They don't fight for the values we care about on the right side of history. In fact, they're working against you and working against the middle class, but not AMAC. amac.us/RSBN. Take control of your retirement. Work with the golden era of what President Trump and the Republican MAGA movement is ushering in. Save money, save America today. amac.us/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history as we are celebrating the latest news from the Trump White House, the big, beautiful bill. Also, the flagpoles you see there on the North Lawn and the South Lawn. We'll also have exclusive interviews we had earlier in the week for your viewing pleasure today in case you missed it. A big week of news as we will continue to be monitored on the Israel-Iran conflict. Now, Karoline Leavitt, just yesterday during her press briefing, the press secretary who is the absolute GOAT of press secretaries, detailing to the White House press corps that it will likely be by July 3rd where President Trump will make a decision whether or not to take military action in regards to Iran. Now, we've seen many of his posts throughout the week saying that Iranian airspace was secured by the U.S. and that the Iranians are no match for our military and our firepower. This is the group of people, President Trump, Vice President Vance, also Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, wanted to communicate with the incredible recruitment numbers coming from young Americans, young men and women who want to defend this country. And God be with Israel as they took preemptive strikes to stop the nuclear program of Iran that on time and again has gone against the UN inspectors, Israeli inspectors, American inspectors. They reserve terrible language for the Jewish people and for the American people, calling us the great Satan. Their antics are coming to an end, and God willing, peace and prosperity will last, regardless of where you stand on this issue. We will bring it to you live and in real time over the course of the next several days, weeks, and potentially months. Now we have a video ready for you to go of one of our interviews this week for your viewership. In case you missed it, this is actually going to Karoline Leavitt's comments regarding the Iranian situation in case you missed that press briefing just yesterday.
Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
Wherever you stand in the ethos of American politics, in the argument of right, left, center, up, down, in the sky, under the ground, wherever you might be, this person is clear. Karoline Leavitt represents President Trump in an extraordinary way, unlike her predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who walked out there and had to share her sexual orientation and that she's from immigrants, and it was all about Karine Jean-Pierre. And she could never deliver the truth for the American people because the autopen was operating the government. Who was the autopen? Who is the autopen? It's a scandal much scarier, much deeper than Watergate could have ever been. And frightening to think about because the dialogue of nuclear war coming back into thoughts and minds. Even Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, used that terminology when the autopen was in charge. Regardless, we know who's in charge. It's President Donald Trump, who is doing an extraordinary job against evil and impossible odds. So get all America First updates and exclusive offers at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Even with our broadcasts, even with everything you see here as you stream, like, share, and subscribe, there are some great writers here at the network, too, to dive into these deep topics that really affect your way of life and people's lives around the world. And it's fun to go in depth on all of those topics on a regular basis, and you can do that by getting all America First updates and exclusive offers at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. And if you can donate, we'd be honored to have that here at the network. We are citizen journalists focused on anchoring and hosting and bringing you your unbridled access to the 47th President, 50th Vice President, and 119th Congress. Support us at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live by visiting rsbnetwork.com/donate or text RSBN to 855-575-7888, a new number there where you can call in and make your commitment, 855-575-7888. We thank you for your support of RSBN. Now 10 years young, We're going to continue bringing you the best live desk possible and a rally or two when they do happen. And we thank you for joining us here as it is 12:50 on the East Coast. I'm Robert McNeely, and we are thankful for our sponsors here on the network. All Family Pharmacy is fighting hard for you online because there's a new COVID variant out there, and we want you to be prepared. Or if there's storms in life, literally or figuratively speaking, good to have your medicine cabinet filled to protect you from things that can be outside forces that take over. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, also methylene blue, NAD+, over 200 essential medications, emergency medical kits as well that are very easy to travel with, and antibiotics, all coming from allfamilypharmacy.com. No insurance, no hassle, no red tape, no bureaucracy, just a group of doctors and pharmacists focused on protecting you and your health. Scan the QR code now to pay less for prescription medication. Code RSBN20. Code RSBN20, 20% off your medication today, now through June 30th. So 10 more days in this beautiful month of June as we hit the summertime, the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, tomorrow. A great time this weekend to take a few moments and order everything that's needed. Prescriptions required, but if there's no insurance, again, no hassle. Paying less for your prescription medications, and they can get to your door within 24 hours. This group of doctors working around the clock to make America healthy again. Thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And as we break down all of the latest news from the Trump White House, you can see there that the big, beautiful flagpoles are now in place. We are ready to go in this golden era of renewal, of revival, and what a relief it has been in this 2025, celebrating America 2025, starting with last week, the conclusion of Flag Week into Flag Day. That really launches this Jubilee year for America, the Colossus, America the Grand, America the greatest constitutional republic that has ever lived, because God brought together men who knew their history. They were inspired by the Magna Carta of the 13th century. They had studied the Roman Republic. They knew what governments worked and what did not, and they responded to a tyrant that was miles and miles away. We say it's over the pond, but a great vast Atlantic Ocean that separated us, a United Kingdom that was the grandest empire of its time, with the most powerful army and navy the world had ever seen up to that point in the 18th century. And these former British colonists who had military experience, they were lawyers, farmers, philanthropists, doctors in many cases, inventors like Dr. Benjamin Franklin. Remember the kite with the key in the sky to test electricity? Brave souls who wanted to create a new nation, an American nation. And from 13 colonies became 13 states. And now we have from sea to shining sea, 50 states, 6 territories, and a vast global influence that has changed the world for the better. Can you imagine it existing without the United States of America, without Old Glory on the front lawn there and the South Lawn? So the North and South Lawns now adorned with even more glory of the American flag, waving boldly, proudly, may she forever reign over our great land. And that's a fun thing that's been added now by President Trump, as he's made the Oval Office very ornate. Each and every president gets to make their mark on your building. They are temporary residents of that White House. And it's not only their home for a short period of time, but a museum and a workplace where many dedicated patriots are serving this great land, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And sadly, this year, Andrew Jackson's 200-year-old tree had to come to an end as arborists decided that it was too much of a threat to the foundation of the White House Executive Mansion itself. So they removed that, but with its seedlings, planted another tree so that the legacy of the Hermitage in Nashville, Tennessee, the home of the 7th president, can continue to celebrate that legacy years after his life and passing. Every president puts something there. There's a green, there's a bowling alley, and it shares in the legacy that is this tradition dating back nearly 250 years. We have playback video of the flagpole installation in case you missed it this week, and we'll toss it there now. As former congressman of the Illinois 6th District, Peter J. Roscom put it years ago, the proof is in the pudding. And I had the privilege of interning for that gentleman. And you can see whatever side of history you're on, this president, Donald Trump, loves this country. To come down a golden escalator, to leave that life he had of luxury, of a golden penthouse in the building he built himself in the middle of Manhattan, New York. This beautiful wife and our First Lady. What this family has given in service to this nation is really second to none, because he gives his salary up every quarter. He does the job for $1. $1. And think about that. And as he's joked, he said that if he didn't take that $1 per quarter, the Congress would probably impeach him, because why not? They want to be cruel like that, especially when the Democrats run the show on Capitol Hill, something you can't allow to happen come 2026, because they've made their intentions known. They want to throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. And for some reason, they still want men and women's sports. They want the transgender issue focused and thrown at you. But that's not going to happen under a common sense governance. And a gentleman, scholar, and servant who wants to make America great again. We're all about it, and we're all here for you at the RSBN Live Desk, as we thank our sponsors, mypillow.com/RSBN, the great purveyor of free speech, the defender of election integrity, and all things constitutional, Mr. Mike Lindell. The exclusive offer and special, free with any purchase. With God, all things are possible. The multi-use MyPillow 2.0, a $40 value. mypillow.com/RSBN. Call today, don't delay, because we are in the good old US of A, and thank God for that. 800-836-7566, mypillow.com/RSBN. Use promo code RSBN to support Mike Lindell, and mypillow.com/RSBN. Saving with code SIMPLE RSBN there for you. Shop now today, as we thank Kalshi as well. A great place to trade after you get a great night's sleep and bet on all the most important questions focused on saving America. Or how about those Los Angeles Dodgers? Will they repeat their championship for the World Series this year? Lots to learn before All-Star Game break, but just like the Florida Panthers repeated in the NHL, can they do that as well? Or will egg prices continue to go down? Or what do you think about the 2026 elections? Will Republicans remain in control without President Trump on the top of the ballot? All of these questions, among others, trade now on the most important events. Kalshi.com/RSBN. That is Kalshi.com/RSBN, KALSHI.com/RSBN right there for you. Or scan that QR code there right under my chin and under my red tie. I'm going dead center for you right there. All you have to do is scan and the app will come up. It's a lot of fun. Check it out today or this weekend, as it is close to 1 o'clock on the East Coast. That makes it 10 o'clock on the Golden Coast. So good afternoon and good morning, America. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Robert McNeely, your go-to live desk covering all of the latest news from the Trump White House and for all of the important things affecting you in your household and in Washington, D.C., within the Beltway, outside of the Beltway, and all of the topics, including the big, bold, beautiful bill that is on the minds of countless individuals who will benefit from its passage, especially the middle class. So President Trump has overseen a dramatic reversal in the nation's border security, going from 62,000 illegal immigrants released into the country in a single month under the Biden administration to zero under the Trump administration, and achieving the lowest ever numbers of daily illegal crossings. Now we are at a defining crossroads: pass the one big beautiful bill and fortify that extraordinary progress, or don't, and risk jeopardizing the nation's safety and sovereignty once again. Pass the one big beautiful bill and we will invest in securing our homeland. We will make the largest one-time investment in border security, enough to detain and deport at least 1 million illegals every single year, and massively expand detention capacity. Give and boost to our frontline heroes. We will not only give the men and women of Border Patrol and ICE a $10,000 a year bonus in each of the next 4 years, we will deliver the much needed reinforcements to finish the job, with funding for 10,000 new ICE personnel, 5,000 new customs officers, and 3,000 new Border Patrol agents. Finish President Trump's border wall. We will secure full operational control of our southern border by constructing hundreds of miles of border wall, river barriers, and vehicle and pedestrian barriers, critical for repelling future foreign invasion and maintaining our national security. If we fail to act, we risk squandering historic gains we've achieved and setting the nation back on a course of chaos and vulnerability. That coming from the White House. There's common sense for you on this June 20th, 2025, as we cover the latest from the Trump White House. Vice President J.D. Vance is traveling to Los Angeles, California, where President Trump secured what was a riot and chaos coming out of the ridiculous No Kings protests. As President Trump said it just last week, if I was a king, why would I be talking to House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune about passing not only the one big beautiful bill, but all of these big beautiful bills in the American ethos right now? But today, June 20th, Vice President Vance will travel to Los Angeles, California, where he will tour a multi-agency federal joint operations center and a federal mobile command center, meeting with leadership and Marines and delivering brief remarks. So we look forward to that today, as well as service workers rallying behind President Trump's promise on the campaign trail. There was no tax on tips, and we brought that to you. We really broke that for you in Tucson, Arizona, in that wonderful rally when we did our West Coast swing last summer. Hourly workers in the service, hospitality, and retail industries overwhelmingly backed President Trump's bold no tax on tips plan in the one big beautiful bill. This is according to a new survey saying tax-free tips would bring them needed financial stability and relief. In fact, 83% of the hourly workers want to see no tax on tips become law, with just 4% saying otherwise. These results suggest that any measure increasing the amount of immediately available income, such as untaxed tips, would provide meaningful, stabilizing support for a large segment of the hourly workforce. This is according to this report. And as one Nevada food service worker put it, I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know what these politics are being played with American service workers who work so hard. They work on their feet. In many cases, I did this right out of college for a few years. It taught me so much about life, about sales, about wine, and about how to just take care of one another and have a great night out on the town. So I recommend anyone, especially when you're very young, go out and do this, because it'll teach you a lot about life. You can make a lot of money too, especially with no tax on tips. And a lot of these taxes are pooled. So at the end of the night, that's why I recommend, especially if they do a good job, tip them 20% or more, because they have to share that with the kitchen, with their serving assistants. It's just the right thing to do. The no tax on tips plan is one daily aspect of President Trump's day one commitment to deliver relief to Americans ravaged by years of the auto pen. And we actually have video of this discussion with the no tax on tips. In case you missed it, we'll toss it to it now.
Hi, I'm Dylan Jeremiah, Director of Government Affairs at Family Policy Alliance.
I'm Billy Atwell with the America First Policy Institute.
Hi, I'm David Vasquez. I'm a Senior Energy Policy Analyst at the America First Policy Institute.
For far too long, Washington has failed us. It's now time to act and pass the one big beautiful bill.
$1.6 trillion in spending cuts. It saves us from the largest tax hike in American history, and it brings manufacturing back to America where it belongs.
It defunds the Green New Scam, getting rid of intermittent and unreliable sources of energy while empowering American energy production so that we can be energy dominant once again.
That's the America First agenda. That's why we support the one big beautiful bill.
Americans nationwide made this vote overwhelmingly so back in November, and now here in 2025, we're seeing it all come to fruition.
The more Congress delays, the more the American people suffer.
We can't wait to help get this to President Trump's desk.
The America First Policy Institute doing an extraordinary job in Washington, D.C., and that was founded really by Brooke Rollins, who's the Secretary of Agriculture, and as Carla Sands put it, who is a regular guest contributor here at the network and a wonderful ambassador to Denmark and working so hard and diligently for these issues. She was part of AFPI as well and continues in that work because when the first term came to an end so unfairly, so egregiously during the COVID scam, we saw all of that taking place, and Brooke Rollins said we can't allow these great policies, this great change in the American ethos that benefited the American middle class every single day to just go to waste, because that was kind of the pattern. You know, even after Ronald Reagan, as wonderful as he did, those America First policies, those pro-growth, pro-populist movements would sometimes go into the ash heap of history or put into a lockbox, a safety box. Remember lockbox? Remember Al Gore in 2000? We'll put it all in a lockbox. That was always very fun to tease and reminisce 25 years ago with SNL's fun presidential debates that would take place, but you know, a little sense of humor for this Friday. Those issues, though, would just go away, and Republicans would then have to scramble, get back when they were once again in leadership to authorize these great plans. And Brooke Rollins, to her credit, along with Carla Sands, among many countless others, let's start an institution to talk about this, to fight for it, especially legally during the auto pen years, and then be ready, willing, able day one. In fact, winning election day, even before President Trump took the oath of office, to jump back in and get it done for the American people. So that's amazing to see the work of American First Policies Institute really working overtime. AFPI going overtime for you and yours. Mr. Director, that sponsor one more time. And another group of people going for you 24/7 and really in your corner, the great patriots at All Family Pharmacy. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. The COVID variant that's out there right now is after you and your family. So be prepared with your medicine cabinet for the storms in life, whether it's literal or figuratively speaking. God forbid Big Pharma doesn't want you to have life-saving medications, or the pharmacy down the street just is not open on a Sunday night when your kid has a fever or your spouse spikes the blood pressure and does not have the proper medication. Pay less for prescription medications from ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, NAD+, 200 essential medications, in fact, as well as antibiotics and emergency medical kits you could take on the road during your summer travels. In fact, they're lightweight, they're affordable. Code RSBN20, 20% off now through June 30th. You have 10 days left. Scan that QR code now. Plenty of time to look over your options this weekend. No insurance, no hassle, no red tape, no bureaucracy. It looks like a great thing to do. I'm doing it myself. I'm going straight there. There's no worry. As long as you have a prescription, no insurance, no hassle, no red tape, no bureaucracy. That's all in the allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Thank you for taking care of our health. The great doctors working 24/7 to get that medication to your doorstep. And after you take care of your health, take care of your finances, your savings and retirement from Colonial Metals Group, endorsed by U.S. Attorney, the former Judge Jeanine Pirro, among other patriots who are sounding the alarm because you have a Chinese Communist Party that is trying to have a financial Pearl Harbor happen in America. How do they do that? Well, they use reciprocal tariffs. They use the buying up of primetime American farmland around our bases, and they spy on us when people like the Autopen or the entity amoeba that was the demon rat Autopen allowed that big spy balloon to come over the United States. Meanwhile, someone was taking a nap and eating his ice cream cone like a good old elderly gentleman in Delaware. The Autopen failed us in that moment, and that's why you need to protect your IRA and your 401k with gold and silver, 100% tax-free from Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguy.com/RSBN. Scan the QR code now, save today, protect your retirement and everything you've worked hard for. Because there's cool things out there like crypto. I'm sure you have your properties and your assets and your IRA and 401k ready to go. But gold has gone up over 7,000% since 1971 when the Nixon administration went off of the gold standard. So how would I protect myself and my family? Well, it's very simple. Colonial Metals Group, the best in the business. Visit freegoldguy.com/RSBN for your free no obligation guide. Then you can also stand a chance to win $7,500 in complimentary silver. $7,500 is good in cash. Now think about it in tangible silver that you can trade in case there's an emergency. Colonial Metals Group, thank you for sponsoring us on The Right Side of History. And it's about 11 minutes after the hour. We're watching the latest from Washington, D.C., and the latest news from the Trump White House that is changing the size, the shape, the scope, and the balance of America, and for the better. You can see it literally in action right there with the flagpoles flying high in the sky on the north lawn and the south lawn of the White House. And to give you more of a vantage point in case you missed it, right behind the White House there in front of the Washington Monument. That's quite a walk there, but on this sunshiny day in the federal city, you could see a glimpse of Constitution Avenue where we were standing in the press media risers just around the bend from President Trump's United States Army viewing box on Flag Day, June 14th. Of this year happened to be the 250th birthday of the United States Army, also President Trump's 79th birthday, and can you believe it, 79 years young. He looks greater than ever and ready for the job, and we enjoyed that moment outside of the White House this week, speaking to reporters, having a press gaggle, literally a press conference outside, unannounced, just casually speaking to those on the right side of history. Some of them are on the globalist side of history. Some of them are actually just right down the center and trying to do journalistic integrity. And we thank them for that because we're passionate about that here at the network. Of course, we have a bias. We are supporters of President Trump. We are supporters of the America First agenda. We are supporters of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Magna Carta and the fact that you individually have a right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, so that we're all equal under the law. Truly, we are, in this sense, a true liberal network because we believe in those liberal ideals that shaped this great experiment known as the United States of America. And no longer, sadly, there really isn't a Democrat party. There's a demon rat party that is far left globalist, that has welcomed in some rhinos, those Republicans in name only, as President Trump has expanded the tent of MAGA politics. And the GOP, the grand old party, really a party for everyone. And there's, of course, great criticism to happen on the right side of the aisle with the specific party, but at least there's at least one major political party that's fighting for the middle class, that's fighting for common sense, that's keeping men out of women's sports, that is bolstering our military, that believes in true federalism, the 10th Amendment, that states' rights matter, that the Department of Education has been a bloated bureaucracy destroying people's education and looking at one size fits all instead of what might be good on a local level. It helps people like RFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy getting out there, meeting with state governors in West Virginia, down to Texas, all the way to Idaho, and everywhere in between. And we hope that the demon rat governors would actually stop playing party politics and work with a former Democrat, RFK Jr., in order to make America healthy again, in order to get those steps in, go to the gym, go to church, Be around people. Support your mental health. Get rid of the red dyes. It's all common sense, as many fast food chains are actually going that direction too, including Steak and Shake. And I recently went there through the fast food on a quick trip back home, and guess what they had? Their burgers, their fries, all made with beef tallow. And they went away from the seed oils, the vegetable oils that can cause the high cholesterol, the stress on your heart. And so you can still have that same delicious cheeseburger and fries, all made in a healthy manner. So kudos to places like Steak and Shake. Kudos to In-N-Out. They're starting to make their shakes without the red dyes, instead putting real ginger and turmeric into their milkshakes. And actually, it tastes better anyway, and they're anti-inflammatory, so it makes sense at the end of the day. It's common sense. As we thank our great common sense sponsors here at the network, angelpaste.com. You want to talk about non-GMO, no chemicals, and good for you, your skin, healthiness, all across the board. It is the miracle at angelpaste.com, the miracle cream, vitamin B infused, non-GMO, no chemicals, good for you. Because sometimes you might go down the street and purchase the other creams and things that are out there, and you see all the ingredients, you're like, what is that? I can't even pronounce it. What's going into my skin? What's going into my body? No worries here with the miracle cream that exists at angelpaste.com. Many other high quality creams they have, including an orange option that's vitamin C infused. Again, no chemicals, nothing to worry about, non-GMO. In addition to that, you have a facial spray for guys and gals, and a natural mosquito repellent. Something smart right now, as we're probably enjoying the outdoors more in the evenings when it gets cooler outside, having those summer barbecues with family and friends to celebrate the great nation that is nearly 250 years young. And one of the things that grinds my gears is when the person at the party decides to spray something like Off and all those chemical-ridden, DEET-infused sprays, and then it gets all over the food, it gets in the drink, and then you're consuming all of that. So go with the natural mosquito spray option at angelpaste.com. They're Christian owned. They hire veterans. They're based in the Lone Star State of Texas, which its nickname is Freedom. And Texas is freedom itself. It really embodies it. It's like a whole other country. So go to angelpaste.com and check out our friends experiencing the miracle today. angelpaste.com. And then when you finish taking care of your skin, go on over to Angel Paste, well, after you visit them, to kalshi.com/RSBN. And it's right under my chin there, and I'll move my red tie. Boom. Screenshot that right now before it goes. kalshi.com/RSBN. Trade on all the major events that are out there. Will the World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, repeat their championship? We saw that happen with the Florida Panthers in the NHL contest. How about egg prices? Will they continue to go down? Will the one big beautiful bill pass? Those questions, among others. Will, let's say, Hulk Hogan come back into the ring? Literally questions on everything in domestic politics, the culture, music, sports, and things happening internationally as well. Trade on the most important events today. Trade live now, kalshi.com/RSBN. And I just can't get over the big, beautiful flagpoles that are featuring Old Glory. And President Trump will have the privilege of looking at that every time Marine One comes to pick him up on the South Lawn en route to Joint Base Andrews to wherever he's going in the United States and in the world. And we know he was at the G7 summit on Sunday, leaving actually the next day, late on Monday, but after getting great business done with Canadian counterparts, and also another trade deal in addition to what took place with the United Kingdom when they visited weeks and weeks ago. So great to see that happening. He's the man for the job, getting so much done in a short period of time. Stick with us as we're covering the latest news from the Trump White House at RSBN Live Desk on this beautiful Friday, June 20th. I'm Robert McNeely. Stick with us. We're going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be with you on the other side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
He is here, Matthew Alvarez.
This
I'm
guy.
Robert McNeely. It's Thank God it's Friday, right? We are excited because look at those big, beautiful flagpoles. I never thought I'd see it, but every president gets to make their mark on the building, inside, outside. We see that as you walk the lawn, and I think it's fun for each president to really reminisce on the legacy of the office. Well, this one just made a big statement, and he's used to making those huge statements. 2 new flags in the front lawn and the south lawn.
You know what I like the most about this is that he put the flag right in the front of the pool camera shot so that every stinking outlet out there, especially if they're on the left side of the aisle, has to look at the red, white, and blue, and there it is on cue. That's beautiful, man.
You know, I think as well it's measured so perfectly. He's a builder. He's a master builder. He's going to have the flowers around the flagpole as well, as he was explaining to the White House press pool just the other day, but there's probably going to be some memes out there with him with that tape measure. I can see that happening, and lots of those forthcoming as we're just covering the latest news from the Trump White House. And lots going on this week, Matthew, with Iran and Israel and this one big, beautiful bill discussion. And 2 big things to look forward to, as Caroline Leavitt put the other day, President Trump will make action, militarily or not, in regards to Iran come July 3rd. That will also be the timeline, ideally, for the Senate to finally pass a version of the one big, beautiful bill for President Trump signing.
Yeah, so any military action, that decision to do that or not has to be within the 2-week time frame, according to the president's remarks yesterday. Of course, Robert threw to that soundbite with Caroline Leavitt with that statement from the president. So obviously, Robert and I and everyone here at Right Side and really everybody is really watching and seeing what will happen from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, whether it's the Situation Room, the Oval Office, or could it be a 2 a.m. thing? Who knows? So we really have a lot to follow, even into the weekend. I mean, I know it's summertime, right? And wouldn't it be great to go to the Gulf of America or to the Atlantic, the Pacific, some of the lakes, or maybe a Hershey Park out there? Have you ever been to Hershey Park?
No, I haven't. I really want to, though, because I've had a lot of friends go there, and I mean, Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth is just outstanding this time of year.
Exactly. So Six Flags or Orlando, wherever, right? Vacation mindsets. I mean, it's officially summer this weekend, but we know that within the news world, there could be a decision that's made, and then we will have to monitor that. So that's, again, now until July 3rd, to your point, and it's a 24/7 news cycle. That's why we call it that. And of course, we know that the president had his National Security Council meeting. I guess this is his fourth one in this week alone. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, lots getting together. So that includes the vice president, that includes Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And then later today as well, Vice President J.D. Vance will be going out to Los Angeles to explore some facilities in addition to meeting with Marines and members of our military. So we look forward to that trip and bringing you any breaking news regarding that will be likely uploaded and reviewed for your viewing pleasure as the Vice President takes a West Coast swing tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So we know he's going to be touring one of the facilities there in Los Angeles. So that's happening later. Obviously, we know that the president will be on his way to Bedminster, New Jersey here soon. So as soon as we see any feed from the White House on the other side of it, the South Lawn there, him going on to Marine One, on to Joint Base Andrews. But prior to that, Robert and I were talking before we came on the air here at 1:20 or so, that we think that the president will speak to reporters today. As you can tell, the weather's okay, and it's going into a weekend after a big announcement with, within the next 2 weeks, whether to strike or not. So I think he may go to the reporters, but then now that I think of it, after that big announcement yesterday, maybe he won't.
We'll see what happens there. So this is one to be a person that's very, very, very transparent with the press. And we saw it just the other day when the flagpole is going up. Any questions on the table? And from how's the First Lady doing to are you enjoying what you're doing right here, right now? What about Israel and Iran to the one big beautiful bill? And then just having fun and kicking back and mentioning that, man, it's hot out here. How do you guys stand out here? It's humid in the swamp, and it's aptly named because it's literally built on a swamp, but I think it's taken on a new meaning in the last few years, given the deep state globalists' hold on the federal city. But great to tour there. As we were there last weekend, there's so much more MAGA in the air, and just a lot of optimism, as it's a great spot in the summertime. If the kids are out of school, please feel free to go visit. Great restaurants to museums, many that are on the house. You can literally just walk in because it's there for you. If you're an American citizen with a valid passport, ID, whatever it might be, you can walk right into one of the many museums you fund with your taxes and explore the foundations of this great nation.
The thing that's great is a MAGA president is the one that installed those American flags. And any president in the future that would ever take something like down would be looked upon as anti our country. You can't take down the flag once it's put up, especially at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I can't wait to check that out, out front there. It'll be awesome to see it.
They are there to stay. And we want you here to stay, to fight for your health freedom and for your retirement. And AMAC is the way to go. amac.us/RSBN. You can become a member now for as little as $12 a year. And for the young people out there, especially the millennials and Gen Zers, you can join too. Why not defend your parents, defend your grandparents in this fight for equality when it comes to retirement and savings, and making sure that actually it's the biggest lobby in all of DC. Many people don't know this. It is about retirement and controlling that. And we know those globalists want control over everything. Don't let them do that. Go to a place that believes in the values you believe in with amac.us/RSBN.
Exactly. So it's for $12 a year. You'll get specifically a subscription to the AMAC magazine, exclusive money saving discounts, and most importantly, you'll become part of a patriotic community, to your point, that's making a real difference. amac.us/RSBN. amac.us/RSBN. Let's go to Colonial Metals Group. Of course, it's always great to talk about Colonial Metals Group and all these awesome sponsors here at Right Side when it comes to protecting your IRA, your 401k with gold. And Robert, 100% tax-free, always a good option.
Oh, it's the best option. And what I'm worried about is the Chinese Communist Party. They want a financial Pearl Harbor against the United States. We've seen it with buying up the primetime farmland around our military bases, and then also with what's taking place in Taiwan, the war games. They want to take back that island. And that's something that you have to think about with conflicts around the world. When will the Communist Chinese pull the trigger on these freedom-loving individuals who simply want to be left alone and who are great friends of the United States. So with all of that happening, regardless of who's in charge, even though we have a great MAGA president in place, protect your IRA and 401k with gold and silver. And then if you invest now in the free gold guide, which is no obligation, literally just order it with the QR code or by going to freegoldguide.com/RSBN, you stand the chance to win $7,500 in cold hard silver, tangible metals. I'd like $7,500 on the house just for the heck of it, but that's paper money that could be inflated. Silver doesn't get affected by that. And look at gold, it's gone up over 7,000% since 1971 after the Nixon administration went off of the gold standard. So I'm going to follow the advice of U.S. Attorney Judge Jeanine Pirro and go with Colonial Metals Group.
And all you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN to get that info kit in the mail as it's the bottom of the hour, 1:30. A number of things are happening within this hour. One, there's a State Department briefing that is set to start soon. Two, more importantly, in my opinion, the president will be on his way to Marine One over to Joint Base Andrews. And the reason why I say more importantly is because he may address any questions from reporters. And hearing from the Commander-in-Chief, of course, is the top thing to do when it comes to politics. So we will go to anything that's live when it comes to this government. Maybe we'll go to that State Department briefing, and then if we see the president, going to Marine One, we can still cut over to that as well. Also, today's Flashback Friday. Why not? I know that I heard Robert before I joined him on set here talking about AutoPen. And we know that AutoPen equals Joe Biden. But if you look at everything online and on TV, AutoPen, that name, really didn't start happening until you actually asked a question to President Trump when you were on Air Force One. Is that the first time you heard it too when it comes to referring to Joe Biden as AutoPen?
That's the first time, and I'm honored by my media colleagues using it so often across whether it's legacy, whether it's new media. And just like we called it first here in the election, Matthew, back on November 5th of 2024, that's right, RSBN called it first. We called Georgia, we called the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we called the election for President Trump before many of the legacy items. And I know it's all about the 24/7 and being first, but we also want to be correct and deliver it for you as your go-to live desk. So we're honored that we can have this ripple effect in the media. 2.5 million people tuned in last Saturday to see the big, bold, beautiful military parade. And really, it's not because of us at the end of the day. We're happy to be here to bring you all of this news in real time, but it's because you, the common sense viewers, and the American patriots who want to make a difference every day in your community and in your state, in your nation, are receiving this live desk information so you could do just that. Listen to the speeches, listen to President Trump, decipher the information yourself, and go out there and make an informed choice.
Exactly, well said. And yesterday, even on a press conference for Carolyn Levitt, on a number of sites that we broadcast live on, we're talking 250,000 plus just watching a press briefing yesterday. Of course, in the news cycle, a lot going on, obviously because of the Iran and Israel war. But yeah, a lot of people watching because they want they want common sense, they want conservative media because they don't want to be lied to anymore. And they know and they trust Right Side Broadcasting Network because think about it, for 10 years, all we have done, let's be honest, is interview we the people outside the venue, show the crowds at the speeches, listen to President Trump's speech from start to finish, and then our analysis and commentary has always been on the side of freedom and always on the side of the Constitution. So that's what conservative media is, a 30,000 foot view. But yeah, it's great to be a part of it as we're looking live there at 1:33 Eastern. So we may be able to actually, maybe after some of President Trump's live footage that we'll hopefully see here and the State Department, we may have the actual piece of video where President Trump was answering questions from Robert and colleagues on Air Force One talking about AutoPen. So maybe we'll play that a little later. In the meantime, Director, do we have any live footage right now from the South Lawn, or do you see the State Department briefing starting? If you can let us know as we go, that'd be great. Okay, nothing yet, we're hearing. So tonight the president will actually be attending a MAGA Inc. dinner at 7:30. That's why he's going to go to Bedminster, the Trump National Golf Club. Now, that is closed press, so that's something that's not going to be live on any network. But still, though, MAGA Inc. did such a great job during the campaign, didn't they?
Oh, they were outstanding with the way they organized and everything was so much fun on this campaign. So the rapid response, perhaps the best communications team ever put together. And now you see them at the White House, whether it's Caroline Leavitt to Margot Martin, among many others who are incredible people with the written word, with the spoken word, but also Trump Force 47, the great teams that were put together just to reach out to 10 or 15 of your neighbors. They made it fun. Being a precinct captain was a good time, and I went to many of the meetings in Georgia, being a state house candidate and then working along with the Trump 47 folks in the campaign. But it was always about hope. It was always about the future. It was always about you. And actually being in the same room with the great Laura Trump, who was the co-chair at the time of the RNC, just doing outstanding work and encouraging everyone literally in the line of fire right after her father-in-law, his life nearly taken in Butler, Pennsylvania, to have the cool, calm, collective nature to continue and finish the mission. My hat's off to the Trumps, and what a privilege it was for us this week as journalists to interview Eric Trump, who's doing an amazing job as executive vice president in New York City for the Trump Organization.
Yeah, that was great. And speaking of hats and hats off or hats on, specifically when we were in Iowa for the caucus coverage, remember 2024, 23 was such a campaign season, of course, a big, big election, as we all know. But I remember seeing those, was it Iowa caucus or Iowa campaign hat or captain hats? It was white with the yellow, right?
Right, with the gold or yellow. And President Trump wore a couple of them, that Iowa precinct captain, and that was fun to watch. And they got right to it and got it done. And anyone who's in Iowa at those days from December through January, it's really retail politics, the first in the nation, and that caucus style. You have to go there in the meetings, and then you're locked into the gymnasium, the church, and then you deliberate it and battle it out. And especially those who are missing votes or their campaign is really not taking off, sometimes one will go to the other, and you have people literally in the last hour saying, come on to this side of the camp, come on to that side of the camp. And they had the best hats in the business. We know President Trump, a master marketer in his own right, and we enjoyed that coverage immensely in those frigid air hours towards the end of that competition.
I think frigid is not strong enough of a word.
Yeah, probably not, but it's ice cold.
Yeah, or how
bone
about, bone chilling, it sounds like a plan there. President Trump 24 minutes ago saying hourly workers in the service, hospitality, and retail industries overwhelmingly back President Donald J. Trump's bold no tax on tips plan and the one big beautiful bill. A lot of talk about that as well.
Yes.
Now that we are in 4.5 months into the administration, it does feel like it's been a year and a half.
In a good way.
In a great way, but it's a lot of material to be covered, a lot of announcements, a lot of transparency to see this is how we right the ship, right? The ship was on its way to Niagara Falls, right? And it was about to go down if we would have had Harris as our president. But thank God we have President Trump in office. Thank God we're going in the right direction. Now, the big question is within the 2 weeks, outside of the big beautiful bill, is will we attack Iran? So that's the question that President Trump said yesterday through Caroline Leavitt at that statement, that it's to go basically or not to go is really what's at the decision-making process. So it's going to be within now until July 3rd, but back outside of that to the big beautiful bill, still so many good things in that bill.
Those jumping the gun too, and there might be viewers on here who aren't accepting of that idea to attack Iran, but President Trump has always been very consistent on where he stood when it comes to Iran having a nuclear weapon. And the White House putting out just this week the exact months, dates, and years when he said Iran cannot have that weapon, dating back to 2015. We know his mantra is peace through strength. He's also a common sense person who does not wear rose-colored glasses, who does not give millions to Iran, who canceled that deal, who canceled the Green New scam as well, because the auto pen, along with Barack Hussein Obama, were focused on reinvesting in those weaker than us and actually sending our money, your hard-earned tax money, overseas for appeasement. They were almost the Neville Chamberlains of 2020 and prior to that. Very sad to see that they would be willing to sell the American ethos and our sovereignty in order to line their own pockets.
If you get a chance to watch yesterday's interview with the conservative analyst and author T.S. Dixon that we did here on the network, he really broke it down, broke down both sides of the equation, and it was a really enlightening and great interview. He's saying how, hey, listen, we need to balance the budget and we need to have federal government reform, two very big things, of course, for our country. So really looking forward to seeing that happen. Also, not looking forward to really the decision, to be honest, because for or against, there are people who are for or against this decision. Let's be honest, that's facts. So we'll see what happens, though, and that's how we'll monitor it here at the network, at least from my perspective, as we continue on with live reporting here at Right Side. So let's go to All Family Pharmacy as well. We know that there's this COVID variant out there. Actually, if you look online, you'll see that there's this COVID variant out there right now. So you don't have to really wait at all. You can stock up now. All Family Pharmacy is running a summer sale, so about 20% off into the end of the month. Only a few days left on the sale. Really worth it. They have ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, more than 200 essential medications. They also have NAD Plus daily prescriptions, so you can check them out, whether it's for prevention or peace of mind. You'll find exactly what you need to keep on hand and avoid unnecessary doctor visits or urgent care trips later. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. RSBN20 is the code. As we're about 20 minutes from 2 o'clock, let's talk about something that's really cool and really great and really comfortable in a lot of ways, mypillow.com/RSBN.
Yes, the master marketer, as President Trump put it, Mike Lindell with an exclusive new special. And as Mike said, he can't believe the words are coming out of his mouth because it's a $40 value for free with any purchase. With God, all things are possible. The multi-use MyPillow 2.0. So you might as well call today and not delay in all of this because this will go fast. 800-836-7566, mypillow.com/RSBN. Mike Lindell, what a guy. He's a purveyor of free speech. He fights for election integrity. Heck, he might even be the next governor of Minnesota. We'd love to see that on the right side of history. Regardless, he has one of the best companies in America that produces all of these American-made exceptional products right in the great state of Minnesota. Support Mike Lindell and RSBN. Go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Save with code RSBN. Easy to remember.
Shout out to those of you watching from Minnesota and Iowa today. Robert just talking about Minnesota. We were just talking about Iowa as well with the caucus. So shout out to those two states, of course, border states right there, and everybody else that's watching. Thanks, guys, for tuning in on this Friday, June 20th. Looking forward to a nice weekend. I know it's going to be officially summertime coming up this weekend. We live in a free country. There's an American flag outside of the White House. We've got a America First president in the White House. And we have something that's much better than Harris ever would have been. So these are good things for our country. We hope to see more wins and more right things happening from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
We do, and we now have two big, beautiful flagpoles that will forevermore be on the front lawn and south lawn, God willing, because to your point, Matthew, if another president would take that down, perhaps they'd be anti-American, anti-MAGA. And I don't think we want that anymore. At least you've spoken, the American people. If you think otherwise, you're always free to welcome and write in to the network if you wish to opine. Feedback at rsbn.tv. Please tell us the good, bad, and the ugly. What you think about our programming, what you think about Auburn, Alabama, which is the loveliest village in the Plains. You're always welcome to visit because it is a great place to live. It's a great place to cheer on the Tigers, an extraordinary school and team, quite a community atmosphere right in Dixieland. And I think there's a lot of that feeling throughout the country of good communities and good people who simply want to live a peaceful life, want to live there and raise their families well and have some fun while they're at it, especially on this beautiful forthcoming weekend as we cover the latest news from the Trump White House, the one big beautiful bill on the mind of many in Washington, D.C. And we'll have to see what the Senate ultimately does. I'm not sure why they're dragging their feet so much.
They should just get it together. We know that balancing the budget is a part of the president's plan here. But all of those campaign promises really are in this big, beautiful bill as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And to your point, quickly, just the shout out to not only Iowa and Minnesota, but to Auburn, Alabama, and the smaller towns and communities around this country. I've lived in a number of them. I know you have too. And thank God for Small Town USA. Making, if you think about small business administration. These guys are the backbone of the economy. We're talking 60% plus. So shout out to all the owners out there kicking butt every week. That's a very busy job to run a small business, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You're looking at the books. You're looking at making sure your customers are happy and healthy. And in many cases, especially in small town USA, they're your neighbors. And you want to provide that excellent service for them. And sometimes it's hard to deal with those big corporate conglomerates in certain arenas. I think about banks mostly and restaurants, but you see a lot of that here still, small banks and great independent restaurants that are providing a high quality product.
Before we shift gears to Flashback Friday, I just want to say one more thing to that point. You know, those that are watching in maybe a smaller town or a medium-sized city even, not the big cities. I mean, great that if big cities are watching, which I know that they do. But just really a shout out to the people that, all of us, that go to these rallies, go to the polls and vote for President Trump. We are with you. We have suits on right now, right? The lights are here, the camera, we see the White House. Don't let that fool you in the sense of being disconnected. We're not mainstream media. We're not talking heads that just want to have some false narrative that nobody agrees with. We're common sense guys here with you. Christina Loren, RSBN host, same thing. Megan Kohler, Ashley Brassfield, who you know was at a number of rallies, and everybody that works here. Common sense, you know, this is grassroots. So just really want to reiterate that sometimes, because we're not doing a mainstream media thing, and we're glad not to do that. All right, let's shift over. Flashback Friday. So this guy here, of course, on Air Force One a few months back, was speaking with President Trump, and a number of other colleagues were there asking questions. Specifically, I'm not sure if the word auto pen is used on this clip. Hopefully it is, and if not, we'll have to find it. But he's the one that talked about calling Joe Biden auto pen, and now it's like run of the mill. When you think of auto pen, you think of Joe Biden. Take a look.
In addition to that, on autos, on steel, on aluminum, we're going to have some additional terms.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
So to follow up on the Biden auto pen, are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void, because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, it's just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating about them. Like Nancy Pelosi, it was determined conclusively that she knew about 10,000 soldiers and turned it down. And if we used 500 soldiers, you would have had no problem, let alone 10,000. The young lady that said that I grabbed these powerful young Secret Service agents by the neck, okay? You know that was a big hoax, it was a lie. And she admitted it, and they deleted everything. So, you know, what they did is criminal. I think we're about to land, everybody. Okay? Have a good time. We'll see you very soon.
Are you going to the Kennedy Center tomorrow?
I am. I'll see you at the Kennedy Center. You know, we have to straighten it out. It's not a good situation, like everything else in this country.
Do you worry because Vice President Vance was booed there a couple days ago that you may be driving?
And he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so that was a Flashback Friday from May. Actually, that was March 14th. March 14th, within that weekend time frame when Robert was on Air Force One asking about auto pen, then President Trump called him auto pen, and then before you know it, Joe Biden's auto pen. Isn't that wild? Just how on a national outlet like Right Side, you could say one thing and boom, the whole country knows about it.
Really amazing, and thank you to President Trump and his amazing staff for the weekend. We look forward to traveling with them again, because that's what he does. He comes right to the back of the press pool where they're sitting on the plane. Instead of shuffling us up and summoning us to his office, he has every right to, and he says, you know what, I'll come back and I'll talk to the press. And that's, I don't know how much more open and transparent you can get. And with conservative and liberal outlets on the flight with them, there are many people who share in a deep respect for the office, for the man, and having unbridled access to him that weekend. So thanks again, Mr. President. We look forward to the next opportunity.
Yeah, great stuff, and always good to have that access here at Right Side. Also, again, as it's 1:49 here on this Friday, two items we're awaiting for a live picture. One, President Trump departing the White House on the South Lawn, And sometimes he stops over and talks to the reporters before he goes to Marine One. He's on his way then to Air Force One to fly to Bedminster. He'll be staying at the Trump Bedminster Trump National Golf Club there in New Jersey, having a MAGA Inc. dinner there tonight. But in the meantime, we'll wait for that live footage. And then on the other side, we have the State Department press briefing that's scheduled for 1:30. Obviously hasn't started yet. So we may be, jumping into each of the things here, but looking forward to bringing that live to you here on Right Side as it's Friday, June 20th. Now, we did hear yesterday, I was wondering with the NATO summit, it's in the Netherlands, and with all of the things going on in the Middle East and all that, I know it's a bit far from there, but President Trump is still traveling to the Netherlands because yesterday Carolyn Levitt confirmed that for June 24th to the 26th. So important to see that he's continuing on with what he has to do out there.
Non-stop with his duties, his business, and really making a change in global diplomatic relations. And we see how so many came to the table when the tariffs were put on to really streamline a global economy and change it all so we can get rid of this $36 trillion of debt, and going back to a fundamental common sense piece of it all, that the NATO nations should be paying their fair share. And once again, they're getting to that. And that was a change over the course of the last 25, 30 years when he was first in office during the first term, and how much of a based traditional man he is to go up there, if you remember, Matthew, just slightly pushing that other guy.
Yes, I
just
remember that.
This leader of that very small, tiny nation, and just threw the coat together and it was awesome to watch.
Here I am. Excuse me.
Only an alpha would do that, and in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Just to be up there and be up front because we are the leader of the free world.
That's true, and makes me think of when he shook the hand of Kim Jong-un crossing the DMZ there, the actual South Korea and North Korea border. What an epic time that was in the first administration. And now we're here in the second. A lot of winning going on, a lot of great things happening. We're covering it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, awaiting the decision from the president in regards to Iran. But as we wait, there's still news to be talked about and to go to. And part of that will be that State Department press briefing here in a bit. And also, will the president receive any questions from the reporters once he departs the White House today on his way to Bedminster, New Jersey? So we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's take a quick commercial break. Robert McNeely, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, All sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. I'm Robert McNeely with Matthew Alvarez as we await President Trump, who is going to board Air Force One and head up to that big, beautiful golf course known as Bedminster. In Bedminster, New Jersey, a Trump property, one of the finest, in fact, where you've seen many of his press conferences over the years. In fact, we're on the heels of a 2-year anniversary where he responded on that primetime Friday, if you remember, Matthew, with that beautiful sunset as the Trump Force One at the time came in nearby, and he went to the golf course to say, we are going to fight these allegations. We're going to fight Letitia James. We're going to fight these individuals peacefully and patriotically who brought lawfare to the president, trying to prevent him from running for re-election. Well, he's had the last laugh as we cover the latest from the Trump White House.
That's perfectly said, as it's almost 2 o'clock here. So this is how we're looking at the next developments over the next half an hour to maybe an hour or so. We're looking forward to seeing a video that will be live outside of the White House from the South Lawn of the president departing the White House, heading to Marine One. He may stop and talk to reporters. Then he'll go from Marine One to that picture you see on the left side of the screen, Joint Base Andrews, and then we'll see if he stops and talks to reporters there. I mean, he's done that before, right?
Oh, constantly, and it's every day we see something where there's a press gaggle or two or a press conference from the Oval Office to the East Room to right outside on the White House grounds, watching those flagpoles go up this week, talking to reporters on all different kinds of issues facing the United States.
Yeah, it's exactly what we saw. Great coverage earlier this week to see those flagpoles go up. You see them, maybe it's a little smaller, but we've been showing the bigger screen there with the White House, with the American flags out there. All right, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network in the meantime, as we wait for the president there, all you have to do is text RSBN to 855-575-7888. And I thought that you'd have to type the number 1. You don't, because I did it yesterday. I just wanted to see. So actually, all you have to do is text RSBN in the body of the message there to the numbers 855-575-7888 if you'd like to donate to the network. Let's let them know why donating is a good thing.
Well, the legacy media, God be with them, but they get a lot of special interests that support them. In fact, endless financial support, and what your money does actually makes a massive difference, whether it's $2, $20, $200, $2,000, whatever it might be. Even $10 helps to continue that mission of citizen journalism and being that true live desk for you. What's different about us versus others, right, left, center, and everywhere in between under the sun, is that we bring you that live desk, unedited. You see every speech in its entirety, press conferences. Other networks will dip in and out, and then they give their opinion, and then they call it journalism. We don't shy away from where we stand, but we're going to analyze it, and we're going to trust in your viewership and what you think about that. So it's different than the rest, and these live desks are really new and on the horizon, and we want to be your premier offer and opportunity. So rsbnetwork.com/donate and calling in that new number 855-575-7888 will do just that, and we're grateful for your support.
Thanks so much for texting RSBN to 855-575-7888. Also, The Voice of Reason airing on Thursday night, starring this guy right here, Robert McNeely, of course. You had 2 episodes so far, so you're on to your 3rd this coming next Thursday, right?
Right, and we will be writing that within the next several days here, but we might have a nice music special for you. We might have some sports figures on as well. We're diving into culture, politics, and things that might be of interest that are outside of Washington, D.C. So you can see all of that. It's an entertaining show. It's a fun show. We have punchlines. We have politics. We have a classic dash of Western flair. And I hope to be your voice of reason every Thursday at 6 o'clock in the evening for the prime time. And we've had some great guests on thus far, including Miss America 2025, Auburn's very own Abby Stockard, including a Republican presidential candidate, Gary Barv, in a 2-part interview about why he's throwing his hat in the ring. And although, name ID is everything, and he does not have that right now, he is unafraid to go on that campaign trail and take a shot at it. So more power to you, Gary. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll have many more entertaining thought providers and provokers to maybe we'll have a far left governor come on. Who knows? Because we know how we like to call out their falsehoods. And my big question for them right now is, why are they continuing to break federal law? So we'll see what happens in the future, but catch the voice of reason every Thursday night, 6 o'clock, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
And outside of that, I mean, having an interview with a governor, like you call the governor of Illinois one of the best nicknames ever, Jelly Belly, which you've said it several times on the network. But why does he deserve that name? Well, other than, Chris Christie style, but
well, I mean, God forbid that they ever
what has he
went
done?
to.
What has he done? You're from Illinois, right?
Correct.
You're from outside of Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why is Pritzker such a wrong person for that state?
Well, it's directly causing fear in immigrant communities and breaking federal law in the real time, because you can make a legal argument right now, and he's been out there on these shows saying, go ahead and arrest me. He wants the PR, and he's trying to showcase that they're actually funding illegal immigration. He said it as much with Medicaid funding, with hard-earned tax money coming from Illinois tax providers and taxpayers, that these illegal immigrants, they are reaping the benefits of it, but not putting anything into the system. It's so unfair, but he's also violating federal law by harboring illegal aliens. He knows as much and says, come and arrest me, Tom Homan. Come and arrest me, President Trump. I'm not afraid of you. And instead of fixing the pension crisis that's taking place in Illinois, and especially the high property taxes that have caused countless to move out of the state, you have to look, Matthew, 1998, 26 electoral votes for the state of Illinois. It's down to 19 now. So over the course of 27 years.
So did you just say 26 to 19?
26 to 19.
And how many years ago?
In the course of 27 years.
Holy smokes.
That's a rather rapid decline of millions of people.
That's a lot. Yeah, no, I know. Illinois, I mean, Chicago is the third largest television market in the country. It's New York, it's LA, and it's Chicago, then Philly, then Dallas, and on. But that's crazy.
Isn't it? It's really a sad thing. And it was, growing up, reaping the benefits of being geographically located in probably the best place in the country. Now, the weather's kind of awful. The falls are beautiful, but at the same time, you're on Lake Michigan, you have industry, you have the hardworking, strong, broad shoulders of the American middle class. If you look at the heat grid of the 1950s and 60s, the middle class were really located in and around Chicago and throughout the Midwest that built this nation. And this is one of the reasons why President Trump became so popular with the Midwest states and those traditional union workers, especially in the private trades that wanted to build their own businesses. It's now simply very wealthy, very poor. There's almost no middle class within the city of Chicago itself, or what classifies economically as middle class now, and it's because of these far left globalist policies.
Man, you think of LA, Chicago, New York, Philly, Miami in some parts, not everywhere, but Seattle, Portland, obviously all the big name cities that have professional sports teams, right? We could support those professional sports teams. We'd love maybe the dining scene or the entertainment scene or the comedy scene, the big city feels. We get it. He's been there. I've been there. We've all experienced it, most of us. But then you've got the whole other side of the coin. You've got the crime. You've got the homelessness. You've got the terrible stuff that goes on, and it's not safe. I mean, I used to live in Manhattan, and my dad was born in Manhattan, my mom born in Brooklyn. I get it. But now, if I was ever to have to live there for maybe even a week, I'd be like, oh boy, I'd rather live in Hoboken, New Jersey. I got to stay across the river. Like, it's just not cool to live in these big cities anymore. I'm sorry to put it that way. And if you do live in a big city, hey, maybe you're going to move someday, maybe not, I don't know. But it's just tougher. And what I'm hoping is, if you are in it for the long haul in these cities, that your mayor or your leaders or your city council will become MAGA or become on the right side of history. The mayor in Nashville, Tennessee, awful, woke, way into all the woke mind virus stuff. Like, that's terrible for Nashville. Nashville's Music City, USA. You have all these tourists from all around the country and the world. They just want to see some live music. They don't want to see the rainbow-colored flag, all right? Can I be real about it?
Absolutely, 100%.
But here's the thing, though. It's not against the human element, though. This is not against the human person. But right. What if a human does something that's illegal or something that's so morally disgusting? Yeah, I mean, you're going to judge that. I mean, it's just the way it is. Is anybody perfect? No, but still. We know that we're on the right side of history here. and in common sense. Anyway.
And this month of June is Sacred Heart of Jesus Month, and may he bestow his blessings upon this great nation, his nation ultimately according to our founding documents. And that's what we support here on the right side of history. And with that said, Matthew, how important is it in this time as President Trump's part of his agenda is to make our cities beautiful again, because it does welcome people, especially our federal city of Washington, D.C. But if you're a young person getting your career started or enjoying that city life, maybe think about it, especially young Republicans out there that I've been proud to be part of for countless years now. Maybe it's up to you to throw your hat in the ring to one of these nonpartisan or independent races for your municipality, on city councils, on running for mayorships, because you can make that difference. You can fight right now, and it can be expensive. I've been through it myself. I ran for my hometown city council, ran for state rep in Georgia. It's tough. There's a lot of cameras in your face, and there's a lot of scrutiny, but at the end of the day, you meet all your neighbors, and it's so fulfilling to execute on the vision of what our founders had nearly 250 years ago that stands the test of today, and especially the young people, with your energy, with your know-how, with your prowess. Millennials and Gen Zers, get out there, become the mayors of Nashville, maybe New York City, and make our cities great again.
Yes, come on, preach, man, preach.
Amen.
No, I'm not kidding.
It's
man.
a preaching Friday.
No, it's a good thing to. Hey, I love preaching. Hey, preach. If you got good preaching and the person's actually spitting truth and then they're actually walking the life, that's pretty good stuff.
Right.
Anyway, so the point is, I love what you're saying there. The Gen Z crowd. We're talking to you guys right now. Maybe there's. I'll just have fun with this. Maybe there's 10 of you watching, Gen Zers. Maybe there's 10,000. Maybe one of these days there'll be 800,000 Gen Zers watching what we're talking about. Who knows? But to his point there, to Robert's point, yeah, running for all of these offices in these major cities. If you like the city life more than the country life, or if you like city life more than suburbia or urban, whatever the kind of life you like, we need to have people with common sense to make this country safe again. We need law and order in the country. You don't want to see, what if I loved Los Angeles so much I have to live downtown, right next to Staples Center? What if I just love LA and I love the Clippers and I love the LA Kings and the Lakers and the LA Rams and I just love being near the beach. Manhattan Beach is just down the road, all that stuff. I can't really live there because I'm afraid of certain things happening. And then on top of that, gun laws are probably all messed up. You can't even protect yourself. I mean, that's awful. That's an awful way to live. I'm sorry. And I can say that because I have lived in major cities across this land. And yes, there are some great things about these. Let's talk about the great things about the cities for a second. Again, great dining. I love being able to choose like 50 different kinds of foods from all over the world. I love meeting people from all around the world. I love to go to New York and see the top of the rock and go 60 floors up and see the whole city. However, when you go down that elevator and go outside, you might have to deal with some serious crime situations too.
That's a fact, Matthew.
And that's why people are saying, I'm going to some other place. I'm going to live somewhere else. And that's what we're saying. We're simply saying, let's get these cities and make them great and make them great again. That's all we're saying.
And I love and hate actually one topic within these big cities, the dating scene. But regardless of that, still extraordinarily entertaining. But again, want people to have safety, with all joking aside, to enjoy every zip code in this country, because I think education and safety, those are the two cornerstones that most Americans agree on, perhaps 99.9%, that both should help determine getting ahead in this country, but not in a negative way. And sometimes that's the sad fact. People have to live in a certain zip code for economic reasons. They can't get access to a good education, or you have those various economic reasons that are keeping people away from the jobs they want or the life they want, and it revolves around simply security, and that shouldn't be the case. And that's why if you run for a mayorship, for example, you're then the commander-in-chief of that police department, especially the big cities. And as Dennis Kucinich put it on our friend's show, Tucker Carlson, it's not about woke agendas, DEIs. When you're running the city, it's about, are there potholes? Are there opportunities for jobs? Is it safe in this zip code? There's no time for ideology. It's about balanced budgets and protecting your residents and your neighbors.
The only way I'd live in a big city right now would be possibly Washington, D.C., only if it was to cover, let's be straight up, politics within that city. Because you're doing something that I believe is helping the American people as a whole. But outside of that, if I was to be assigned, Matt, you're going to San Diego, I'll be like, well, I love San Diego actually, but I don't know if I like the fact that it's still California right now with what's going on with that terrible leader, Gavin Newsom. A shout out to those of you in MAGA country, though, in parts of California. I know people there. My best buddy used to live there. I had my aunt and uncle living in Sacramento. I get it, all right? But it's just, I mean, how are we going to solve the world's problems in just 2 minutes here? Bobby and I can't do it all, guys. Come on.
Regardless.
Well, maybe we can.
We might be able to, but you stay classy, San Diego.
No, that's very funny.
That
Very funny. Anchorman, great movie. All right, so we're getting off the rails just a little bit, but it's Friday. We're having fun here. What we're waiting for, to be honest with you and to be straight up, is the State Department press briefing and also seeing President Trump go from the White House to Marine One and then over there to Joint Base Andrews. That's the live picture you see there. I really hope that President Trump stops and talks to the reporters outside at the South Lawn today. If he doesn't, it's fine, because yesterday we have the latest statement, of course, about the Iran-Israel situation. So, Director, can we play that again with Carolyn Levitt from just yesterday? Please let me know when that's ready, from the press conference, specifically talking about that 2-week window. All right, so it's within 2 weeks. Whether or not to go to Iran. So, Director, do we have that? Okay, so they're almost getting that clip for us. I think it's a soundbite that's being played around the world. I mean, not only in the English language, but I mean French and German and all over the place. I mean, people are listening to what Carolyn Levitt said yesterday. This is a very powerful soundbite because it's coming from the president about a very big decision. And let's just go to that now.
Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
And that's the question on everybody's mind. And so it was great to hear that the president had that statement through Carolyn Levitt. And, we're monitoring what happens there at 211 here. Friday, June 20th. Man, what a roller coaster ride it's been on this Friday so far, huh?
It's been a great day. It's been a great week. And a lot of winning, and fighting in the most positive of ways in Washington, D.C., at your house, the People's House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Exactly. All right. So, again, awaiting the live picture of the president departing at the South Lawn of the White House. Now, specifically, all right, so it's 2:11. According to the president's schedule that all of the press receives, I know you see it, I see it, everybody at the network here sees it, at 2 o'clock, it says, the president departs the White House en route Bedminster, New Jersey from the South Lawn, and it's open press. So we are about 12 minutes past that specific time. So we know that we're on the right path of waiting for hopefully seeing the president there. And then his takeoff. Always fun to see the takeoff with the Air Force One. I remember all those rallies we covered, right? You saw, and I've seen it too, at Trump Force One, just the flyovers. Well, it's great to see that. The people are encouraged by that somebody's out there like President Trump being like, hey, I'm one of you. Let's do this.
Well, it was very fun in Michigan, specifically with Mr. Director coming from Traverse City all the way down to Grand Rapids to fly out of there. And we saw that actually the Vice President and the now current Commander-in-Chief were staying on the same tarmac, whether they were staying with supporters or actually staying on the plane itself. We know Trump Force One was as equipped, if not even more equipped, than Air Force One in certain ways. There went Air Force Two and then Trump Force One right behind the then Vice President. And I was waving early on saying, goodbye, Madam Vice President, back to California. And then we flew out right after that. So to live on the front row of history, to cover this all for you, you truly have to pinch yourself every once in a while, because it is not only of duty of the Constitution, our career choice is detailed in there, a free and fair press, but there's also that great responsibility of bringing you all of this in real time and talking to you, the patriots on the campaign trail. What an absolute pleasure to meet countless thousands of people in that process. And with all the smiles and all of the high fives and all of the cheers and the fact that you took time out of your busy schedules and in some cases away from family on the road to support President Trump in this mission. I think every president does appreciate that, to have that moral support, because it's a tough job. It can be a lonely job. And we know that this gentleman is not much of one to be lonely. He's around a lot of people. He will be tonight at Bedminster, but he is someone that works it right to the end, early in the morning, late at night, round the clock. And that iconic image from the first term and on that 2020 campaign, when that MAGA hat was off, and he still looked fantastic, his hair intact, but that tie just came undone, and it was well into 1:32 in the morning walking that lawn. You knew our commander-in-chief was ready to go at a moment's notice to defend this great country.
Yeah, it makes me think about all of these different times where we saw that, at night where the president was at a rally late or at a speech, all these different things. A lot of hard work over the years. Carolyn Levitt 6 minutes ago saying the one big beautiful bill will drive growth and supercharge the American economy. The Council of Economic Advisors found that the one big beautiful bill will raise take-home pay by up to $13,300 for the average family of four. It will increase wages as much as $11,000 for the average worker in America. And there's a number of other things posted here. If you want to check it out, Carolyn Levitt on X just posting about the big beautiful bill. As we see the Air Force One, the plane there. Now this is the smaller of the versions. I mean, we know that there are a few planes that are decked out with the United States of America across the outside there. But because he's only going to Bedminster, right? That's why they're using this one instead of the big jumbo jet, I assume.
Yes, not as far of a trip as,
Exactly.
say, going down to PBI, Palm Beach International, en route to Mar-a-Lago. But regardless, once the president is on board, it becomes call sign Air Force One and the commander-in-chief on board. And within the great hands and defense of the United States Marines and the United States Air Force that oversees the travels of President Donald Trump.
So you see the people there on the bottom of the left side of the wing there on the tarmac, Robert, and I know you stood there before. It was actually the bigger jet that you probably were standing near. Is that the press there, you think, or is that people probably waiting to, load the back? Can you tell from this vantage point? Because that's usually where the press would be.
From a distance there, it looks like the press as of right now, and usually the people actually coming from the back of the plane, they're coming down the steps.
Right.
That's most likely the ushers or staff with the Air Force. So they are commissioned through the Air Force. They have the presidential seal, but tend to be civilians who are on board ushers and, if you will, the hosts and stewardesses of the airplane, as you would on a commercial jet.
Just imagine having that job.
I know, right? It's pretty remarkable. How do you send that resume in for that? I'm sure the federal government, but there has to be a call or two in that regard because they are some of the best. And then we see the press actually with the cameras there as well, getting ready.
Hello to the camera guy.
Hello to our colleagues, and I think a Marine standing right there as well as it looks like an Air Force colonel. I'm not sure on the rankings because I can't see them quite up close, but we do see the uniforms from a distance.
I think this is a beautiful look that we have here right now. Not you're not beautiful. I'm not beautiful, of course.
Very handsome, though. I'm saying about you.
But, I mean, look at this here. Covering the latest news from the Trump White House, we have Air Force One live there. We've got the White House there. Talk about live. We are RSBN live. We are seeing what's happening in the moment here. Of course, you hear commentary, analysis. We bring a lot of interviews on day to day, and we covered, of course, yesterday the press briefing. So, letting our hair down a little bit today as it's a Friday, going into the summer weekend. Finally, what is it? Is it the 21st? Is it tomorrow, or is it the 22nd that it's specifically summer? Do you know?
The 21st is summer solstice, starting the summer celebration.
Okay, so tomorrow.
It's the longest day of the year.
Love it. All right, well, it's always good. We're going to have some daylight that goes until, 6, 7, 8, in some cases 8:45, pushing maybe 9 o'clock in some areas.
And you want to guess the sunset time in Alaska?
Go for it.
11:42. I looked today.
11:42 today?
Tonight will be the sunset in Anchorage, Alaska. How incredible is that?
All right, let's jump on a plane, everybody. Anyway, 2:18 as we are waiting for Marine One to go to JBA, so it's Joint Base Andrews. However, we don't want to put the cart before the horse because we know that the president, I don't think, has left the White House yet to go on to Marine One because we would have that live vantage point here on right side. So anyway, you're looking at the bottom of the screen there, that ticker, the Los Angeles Dodger Stadium reportedly blocks DHS, right? You see it at the bottom in the parking lot. And the Department of Homeland Security on X actually, so the LA Dodgers said, this happened here. The DHS was in our parking lot. And Homeland Security is like, no, guys, this has nothing to do with a deportation thing. We were in the area for a minute. And so they kind of had a back and forth on X, the government, DHS, and the LA Dodgers. I mean, these are interesting times we're living in right now.
Well, it's sad as well because I saw that Clayton Kershaw, the star pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, on Pride Night, so they're wearing their multicolored flags on the LA symbol there. And he actually wrote on his hat a Genesis verse talking about that the rainbow really came from God and honored God in the
Praise
process.
God for
And
that.
how awesome is that? Because
That
he
is.
has to work in that situation. He could lose his job,
Right.
but they understand without his pitching,
Yeah, he's
they
really
probably
good.
won't win another World Series.
Yeah, he's really good.
I mean,
and you do not want to do that because think about it, right? So say they got rid of, it's Crenshaw, right?
Right.
So say they get rid of this star pitcher because he put a Bible scripture on during, so-called Pride Month for some people that are, whatever, into that. But the point is, if they let him go, do you know how many LA fans, I believe, would be like, even though LA is, leaning left, of course, I think there will be a lot of Dodger fans saying, you know what, I'm a New York Yankee fan now. See ya. I don't think it really would happen that way, but do you get my point?
Right. Or at least just turn it off because it's condemning someone for a belief system. And I think certain teams and certain leagues realized that in the wake of what took place during the BLM riots and the false narrative that came out there and the pressure cooker that was being called a potential racist. We saw that with what happened the Summer of Love 5 years ago and how sad that was that some took a knee. But what happened when they took a knee? Then a riot would take place within their city and they would call off the fire department, the police department. And seriously, some former mayors and those still in charge probably should be held in contempt and be put into jail at least for a night or two, or at least question why they stood down when it was their job to protect and defend their cities.
Well, I mean, I spoke to someone, I won't say specifically who, but anyway, the point is there was somebody in law enforcement that said to me, I can't believe it. I'm trying to stop these looters, and they told us, our command officers told us, don't do that. You stay here. You're with this certain department. You just have to watch it happen. And this person told me, I can't believe that I can't do my job. Now, this was a few years back when there was some looting going on and different riots and that kind of thing. But, we have a president that is for law and order, so that's great. And we have Tom Homan, and we have, Pete Hegseth within the DOD and on. It's just saying, hey, we're going to clean up our country. And yesterday, T.S. Dixon was saying about the federal government reformation of that, getting rid of corruption. So there's just a lot of work still. We have this window of time right now. Doesn't mean that if J.D. Vance or if someone else is our president in 2029 and on that we can't continue to get the job done. But right now we have someone that is an outsider in President Trump to get the job done. We have this 3 years plus, don't we?
We do. It's a short period of time.
And so that's what we're looking for. I mean, and I'm only saying that because it's what I've heard from everybody out there on the campaign trail. I mean, we the people want our country to be saved in every way possible from ever getting to what we just almost had under Harris. That's really what we want. So please, government, figure out how to do that, which they already are, but we only have 3 years plus right now under President Trump.
And we know that if the demon rats under Hakeem Jeffries win the House, they will attempt the first week to put articles of impeachment on the table. They did not vote at all for this one big beautiful bill. It was 215 to 214 in reconciliation. And we've seen this issue after issue. They don't want to be constructive with President Trump, who has offered that olive branch on countless times. And we saw it dating back to, again, that summer of love in 2020 when they relinquished their duties of protecting their states, their cities, and arguably no one more egregious than that of Mr. Waltz up in Minnesota, who said with his wife that they enjoyed the smell of tire fires because it meant reform and change. And when people were losing their properties and their businesses as a result of all of the riots.
Maybe Gavin Newsom and Waltz and Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and all these people, everybody. Maybe if they really love communism and Marxism and they're anti-God and they're anti-our country and anti the Constitution and anti-freedom, maybe move to a different country that likes that stuff. You're not going to change the people here. You're not going to change the people here. Am I right?
All right, 100%, especially after the last election.
Holy smokes. I mean, we've got the majority of the country said, we know, I mean, this isn't just a popularity contest. Oh, we like Trump better because he's this. No, it's a mind, soul, heart, everything we are being like, holy smokes, we have to have a America First common sense leader that's an outsider, that's not somebody that wants to make us look more like London, England right now, where, you know, if you say something a little bit whatever that they think is wrong, you may face a penalty for that. What? That's not freedom of speech, you know? I'm not talking about violent threats. I'm talking about just, hey, if you like, again, I bring this up a little bit in China. If we were in China right now, we talk to the people there, the free people of China, in the sense of that want to be free. If we said, they would say to us, we don't like you know, Xi Jinping. If they said that and got caught, they'd be in trouble. It'd be bad news. We don't want that in our country ever. But it feels like, and it seems like, people like Gavin Newsom or Walz or Pelosi or Harris or all these people, they want to get their hands all over us. And that's why the Gadsden flag is so perfect. Don't tread on us. Just don't do it. And what we have is prayer, hard work, and voting to make sure that we have someone like President Trump in office. So now it's this big decision with the Middle East as well that we're waiting to see what happens. But anyway, on a tangent today, Bobby.
And it's good for a Friday as we cover the latest news from the Trump White House, breaking it all down for you on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, awaiting the President of the United States as he departs Washington, D.C. for Bedminster, New Jersey. And it looks like there that might be one of the Marine One helicopters, but we will see as that actually just be the cameraman testing his lens and his view. That we do know that they are at Joint Base Andrews, awaiting that taking place today. And it's been another big week for this administration, and now two glorious flagpoles in the North Lawn and South Lawn of the White House.
Director, are we able to take the White House in full and also have our audio up just to look at the White House, just even closer and bigger screen when it comes to the two flags that are there? I mean, we know that there's a third flag on the middle of on the top there. And you just, I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. And it's going to be there for, as you said, forevermore, right? If any leader ever that resides at that building takes that flag down, they've got a problem.
Mm-hmm. They really do. And I think it's fantastic. I'm in awe of it right now. And it's a great way to usher in the summer series of the Golden Era.
Exactly. So looking forward to all the wins for this president and for this country. And a lot of people are really paying attention to this big decision that he has within the next 2 weeks when it comes to Iran as well, as there is Marine One. Robert, you were right about that. And you said the other day that these are the newer Marine One planes, right?
Yes.
Or helicopters.
The new series that have come in, and they're a little bit more sleek. They're a little bit more shiny. They're a little bit more dapper for the dapper of all Dans, Donald Trump. And it works out very nicely for a safer military, a more robust military. And we'll see if his design of Air Force One will come during his presidency. We know that Boeing is a little bit behind on that schedule, but I hope to see that because it's quite a nice design that sits right in the middle of the Oval Office.
Exactly, and if you're wondering what's going on with the camera there, obviously a little bit of live technical difficulties with some of the what's it called, the glitches while it's live. That's the only reason why it was kind of like that, of course. But this camera here, a lot more stable, so it's great to see that. We'll see the president, of course, walk up those steps. You know, sometimes what happens is the video is actually fed to us later when it comes to the president leaving the White House, going to Marine One. So he could be already, you know, there at Joint Base Andrews. We are seeing the Marine One planes. So the directors, and this is a lot of inside baseball. I think it's fun. I don't know, I like it. But the director will let us know if the president spoke to reporters at all on the South Lawn. And if he didn't, then there's really no real need to show that part of it. Now, if he did speak to reporters, of course, we'll bring that to you. But this is a live look right now. It's 2:28, the bottom of the hour, Marine One. There's a number of them, of course. That's how they do it. They usually fly 3 of them to Joint Base Andrews. Let's take a live listen if the audio is up there at Joint Base Andrews live right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
And President Trump on board Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews, followed by his communications and press team, along with the White House press pool, now going on board Air Force One en route to Bedminster, New Jersey.
Exactly. So there's a MAGA Inc. dinner there tonight at 7:30, as you see a live picture of Air Force One. Now that President Trump's on that plane, to your point, the call sign is now AF1, Air Force One. So, yeah, so we're going to watch the plane take off here. As soon as it starts to move on the tarmac, we'll go to that live once again as we're standing by here. There's also a scheduled State Department briefing that we're standing by for, and we'll throw to, as you know, obviously international and foreign politics and the situation that's going on in the Middle East. Be interesting to hear about the State Department, especially when it comes to the embassy in Jerusalem and Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel. You know, what this situation is. We know that they are evacuating the embassy. I believe they were to do that Wednesday through today. I don't know if it's going to be extended, but anyway, so we're going to hear some more from possibly Tammy Bruce at the State Department there. So 2:35 Eastern here live on Right Side.
It is a great Friday, and we look forward to everything that may come of that dinner tonight. And we know that President Trump working around the clock, many different issues facing the world, including Israel and Iran, to a NATO summit forthcoming next week in the Netherlands.
Exactly. So at this point, we are getting the feed of the video where possibly President Trump would be speaking to reporters outside the South Lawn of the White House. It's a moments ago. So obviously the president's in the plane now. This is just the way it works. So the networks get certain feeds at certain times. And we were going to go to that video if the president would be speaking to reporters. So if we hear that he has spoken to reporters, we'll go to that video. If not, we still have to get to that State Department press briefing as well, as it's 2:36 right now on Friday, June 20th. So if you streamed in a little bit earlier, Robert and I are talking about a lot of different topics, of course. So if you want to rewatch any of this, maybe later today if you're just chilling, or maybe on Sunday if you're watching, you know, whatever. You know, it's good TV when it comes to two people that are really on the right side of history, and it's just instead of the mainstream media stuff that's out there.
That's the beauty of live streaming as well. Not only like, sharing, subscribing across your favorite platforms, whether it be X or Facebook, to Rumble and YouTube, among countless others. You can go back and scrub, especially if you're in the middle of a working week, finishing on those business deals. We hope you're doing well with all that. And then that 5 o'clock happy hour rolls around, or maybe you grab your favorite non-alcoholic beverage. For me, it's an Arnold Palmer, and just start to unwind and enjoy the beginning of your weekend.
My wife had a mocktail the other day, and actually it was dang good. And I was like, hey, maybe we should make these sometimes. But anyway, good stuff. Anyway, so yeah, live there at the Joint Base Andrews. President Trump using the smaller Air Force One today because he's not flying all the way down to your point, PBI, which is the Palm Beach International Airport, West Palm Beach. So the smaller plane only going from Maryland there, the Joint Base Andrews base, to Bedminster, New Jersey. So he will be at that dinner tonight, MAGA Inc. dinner at 7:30. The reason why we're not saying we'll be live tonight is because it's not a live programming situation, because it's closed press. We learn about all these things when we receive the emails from the White House in regards to what the president's up to. And this is video from moments ago, President Trump walking over to Marine One, and we were wondering if he would stop by and talk to reporters. A wave right there, and then we're going to go to that video. We might as well at this point too, just to see Marine One take off. It's just the order of how we receive the feed. Of course, the pumping of the fist there, as President Trump had that strong statement released by Carolyn Levitt just yesterday at the press briefing. So if we get a better vantage point, maybe we will take a look at Marine One. I'm not sure if that's what we're going to get right now. But in the meantime, there's Air Force One. And we will go back there and watch that plane take off. You've been in one of those before. Pretty cool stuff.
It is an amazing sight to see, and amazing to see President Trump. I believe that's the first Marine One pickup since those beautiful flagpoles installed this week. And he is truly the comedian in chief as well. Cool, calm, and collective, as I think some people were rightfully worried when he came back early from G7 in the Situation Room for hours and hours with his national security team. And he came back out the following day to hang out with the press, wear a MAGA hat, and just kick back and answer questions about everything under the sun. And he said he would not say the E word when it came to the flagpoles. And we knew where he was going with that, and it put a smile on pretty much everyone's face. And he answered questions about our great First Lady, to also calling out the fake legacy media for their stupid questioning. And then also many issues, of course, Israel, Iran, the big, beautiful bill, and what he sees with Mark Carney as well, the Prime Minister of Canada, saying that he works really well with him. And he made that prediction that he works better with a Liberal Prime Minister. For whatever reason that is, just seems to work out well. And you could see that Prime Minister Carney as well said, I completely understand why President Trump has to leave. We had great bilateral meetings. And then he also had the opportunity to make another trade deal with UK Prime Minister Starmer before leaving Alberta, Canada.
Exactly. So, yeah, to bring you up to speed, I mean, we know that from this moment all the way until July 3rd, is that 2-week window that Carolyn Levitt was speaking about yesterday, referring to the quote directly from the president on the decision when it comes to Iran. It's that Fordo area. It's the Fordo complex, the Iranian military area there. And if you actually look at it on Apple Maps, at least, they actually have something now on there, Fordo enrichment, facility. Will there be an attack there or not? That's something that we'll have to monitor and see here on the network. Let's go there live to Joint Base Andrews as the 47th President of the United States takes off from Maryland. are here live right now. We're going to go to the State Department right now as you see President Trump taking off. Let's go to the State Department right now for the press conference.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your patience. We're waiting for President Trump, as you likely know, that he was leaving the White House and taking the helicopter flight. We wanted to make sure we did not conflict with, well, I think the most important man in the world. Yes, so we're good, and we know that you also like to report on those things as well. And again, thank you for being here today. We do have a few announcements here, and then we'll begin with your questions. Thank you for being here. Nice orange. Nicely done. All right. The U.S. Department of State has no higher priority than the safety and security of Americans. As we continue to assess and address the needs of U.S. citizens during this important time, I want to reiterate a few important instructions for everyone watching at home and around the world. We urge all American travelers to sign up for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, known as STEP, to receive the latest updates from the State Department. We also urge U.S. citizens to regularly monitor the department's website at travel.state.gov to receive the latest updates and to find emergency contact information. Americans overseas in need of assistance should contact their nearest U.S. embassy or consulate or call, if you're overseas, +1 202 501 4444. That is +1 202 501 4444. Another important update, the State Department has added a crisis intake form, which can be found by clicking the banner on the top of travel.state.gov, which, once again, the magic of technology, there it is. The new aspect is that red banner at the top. Click on Israel and Iran departure info for U.S. citizens and follow the instructions for more information. U.S. citizens in Israel and the West Bank who would like to receive information on departure assistance should fill out the form that this website will take you to. This crisis intake form will also allow U.S. citizens in Iran to register their information. We do not anticipate offering direct U.S. government-assisted departure from Iran. Americans seeking departure should take advantage of existing means to leave. The Department of State has provided information and support to over 25,000 people seeking guidance regarding the situation in Israel, the West Bank, and Iran. And on Iran, I want to reiterate the statement from President Trump delivered by my colleague Caroline yesterday. Quote, based on the fact that there is a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place in the near future, I will make my decision of whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. And now, with so much happening, there has been some news this week you may not have seen. After 3 days of talks, technical teams from the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda initialed the text of a peace agreement on Wednesday. Next Friday, June 27th, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will witness the ministerial signing of that peace agreement right here at the Department of State, led by the foreign ministers of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This is a milestone achievement and a significant step toward peace in that region, and we remind our friends and partners that with implementation of the agreement, the economic investment and development we all want to see will finally be possible. We look forward to more on this next Friday. Also, I would like to join the many Americans in New Jersey welcoming home Idan Alexander. Held hostage by Hamas, his release is a reminder of our commitment to Americans wherever they may be in the world. The scenes of people lining the streets were truly heartwarming, and America is stronger with one of our sons finally home. And lastly, we are having this briefing on Friday because we were not here yesterday because it was the holiday Juneteenth. On June 19th, for everyone wondering and not perhaps having all the details, on June 19th, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas to announce General Order Number 3, declaring that all enslaved people in Texas were free. More than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation had officially ended slavery in Confederate States, I should say. This day, now known as Juneteenth, has become a profound commemoration of freedom and resilience. So I hope you enjoyed yesterday, and we are here today, and I'm ready for your question, shall we? Yes, Daphne.
Thank you so much. So on the 25,000 that you said the State Department has provided information to, is that U.S. citizens who are seeking information on leaving Israel, the West Bank, and Iran?
It's information in general. So it would be a combination, I'm sure, but it's a general information, conditions, perhaps departures as well, but general information.
Okay, and do you have any numbers on the number of U.S. citizens that are seeking information on departing Israel or Iran?
Those are not numbers that I will share at this time. Just as a reminder as well, while today is a bit different than the feeling of Tuesday, we are still in a dynamic where there are still hostilities, where there are still people in bunkers, where there is still a danger. Clearly, we've heard the statement from President Trump about his posture at this point. So we're still going to be careful for national security reasons, obviously, when it comes to what we can answer. So that's a number that I won't be able to give you today.
Okay.
All right. All right. And we will not, we'll do one more, but then we will continue on here. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Just on Ambassador Huckabee's tweet, he said that the U.S. is working to get military, commercial, charter flights, and cruise ships for evacuation. Have any of those organized by the State Department evacuated American citizens yet? And if not, when is that expected?
Again, I won't give details from this podium, but we know that at each embassy, they are posting actions that they're taking. We know that the Israeli embassy is doing that. So you could go to either travel.state.gov and get to the Israeli embassy, or go there directly, and you will see their statements. And I would urge you to do that directly when it comes to what the Israeli embassy is doing and what they've accomplished. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis chartered flights apparently for Americans in Israel seeking to leave and successfully got, I believe it's 1,500 out. I was wondering if those charter flights were coordinated with the State Department in any way, or was this done on some tangent?
Well, I think that there's, and we know that there, of course, are some independent efforts to get American citizens out of those areas, and when we suggest that people take advantage of existing means, we would include, of course, the nature of other opportunities to leave, independent efforts, independent groups managing those dynamics. As far as the DeSantis effort, I would suggest you call the state of Florida, call his office, and I'm sure that they'll get you more information. All right, Nadia.
Thank you, Tammy. Since the president said there is substantial opportunity for negotiation and has given it 2 weeks, why not send in a U.S. representative to join the Europeans with the Iranians in Geneva today? And second, Mr. Grossi is worried that if Bushehr reacts...
Let me answer your first one first, if I may, and then we'll follow up with your second. First of all, Geneva is a discussion involving the Europeans. Of course, we're working on many different fronts and have from the beginning here in leading the nature of finding a solution to this problem. And we certainly continue to. The President's made it very clear, as he has, again, not just about this issue, but every other war and conflict that he's trying to stop. And also with his statement that he would allow to make a decision within the 2 weeks because of the potential. So those efforts continue on. How we're pursuing those efforts are up to the president, and he's making those decisions and anticipates that it might be worth waiting those 2 weeks. But other than, I can't characterize the why or the how. But I think it's important. One thing I think of the many that Americans have learned about President Trump is to believe what he says, to know that he'll deliver, and to not second guess the nature of the choices he's making.
Great. And second, Mr. Grossi is worried about reaction coming from Bushehr if it was attacked. So are you worried that as a result of these attacks on any of the reactors that actually we might have a nuclear radiation?
Well, certainly. I'm not going to speculate on the impact of the nature of what is transpiring in any country in this regard. I know that Israel has issued statements afterwards in dealing with any concerns regarding the actions that they're taking, and I would refer you to the Israeli government in that regard. But I'm not going to speculate on a hypothetical dynamic at this point. All right, yes?
With regard to the talks taking place today, well, concluded today in Geneva, does the Trump administration believe that they were productive in paving the way for diplomacy?
Well, I don't want to characterize what the Secretary of State may think of what has happened. I know that the government as a whole, that we're hopeful for every new opportunity, every new effort to have this come to a conclusion that is diplomatic. That is something clearly we've seen in the president's posture. So while I won't be able to characterize it about what their opinions are at this point, I think at some point we may find that out. But I do know that we do hope that every effort is successful.
Two more quick questions. Is the Secretary planning to get on the phone with any of those foreign counterparts that were in the meeting later today?
Well, I know that, of course, he's headed to The Hague next week. And so I know conversations, no doubt, will happen there about a whole number of issues. All right.
And then,
yes, sir. We'll move on here. We'll move on here. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
To the Secretary's Hague trip. When he was in Brussels in early April, he told us that it would take a few days or weeks, not months, certainly, for him to assess whether or not Putin was serious about ending the war. Today, we have all seen Putin's statements. So he himself made it clear that he has no intention to end the war and the killing. He even discussed, more territories to seize. I'm wondering, have you guys landed anywhere in terms of your conclusion about Putin's intention?
Well, we know that since that point, I don't think he said days at that point, but he said a matter of weeks. And in that process, we saw our posture adjust in that framework. At the same time, as I've mentioned before, during negotiations, things sometimes progress, things change. That's the whole point of negotiations and conversations, is that you signal that how long it is generally that you're willing to wait, but that you would know if someone is serious. And then, again, it's not a static environment as you're moving forward through that time. At the same time, we've heard since then some very blunt comments by President Trump about President Putin. We also know that the parties themselves have met directly. And I think that that's also where we've landed at this point in comments from both the President and Secretary of State, that the only way this is going to end is for the two parties to meet and come to a conclusion and a decision and some kind of an agreement. That is where it is. And of course, we are always present. We remain concerned and issued comments a couple of days ago about the nature of what's happening in Ukraine and the death of an American. So we are there. We have been, of course, Ukraine's biggest supporter, and we continue to hope for and work with and observe the nature of how the conversations are going at this point between the two parties. And that, like every other negotiation, can change one way or another. But that's our posture at this point. Of course, America is still involved, and we're clearly making our presence, our caring about the situation known, and that's where we're at this point.
Point taken, Tom. But in light of today's comments, as I mentioned, Putin's comments, and also his press secretary said that now we have a strategic advantage, quote, why should we lose it? We're going to move forward. So in light of those comments, why not calling them out for not being serious about the peace process?
Well, again, we're not in just a world where when we see something online that we are going to choose how we're going to respond as an individual. There are many different fronts always in every situation that we remain involved in. So it's not as simple as a single response to a single quote that came from a statement or something online. This is about dealing with certain situations in a complex manner. Only the president can make the decision about how to proceed. Only he knows all the elements about what's important and how we're going to make a difference. And that's where we have it. It is, as I term it, as I did a couple days ago, there is one guiding hand to the choices that we make, and that would include with Russia, Ukraine, and every conflict he's trying to stop.
May I
All
ask
right.
one
Yes.
NATO-related
No.
question?
We are gonna move on here. Thank you, sir.
Sorry to go back to Iran just for
Of
two
course,
quick
of
questions.
course.
One, just for clarification, have any Americans been killed or injured in Iranian strikes so far?
You know, I don't think so. Is that? Do we have numbers, or is that something that we've been able to? Let's take that back and see where things stand at this point. I do know that the reports that I've seen are that there have been no American injuries or injuries of staff at embassies and consulates. But let's take that back. And again, I would caution, obviously, this is a shocking continuation of a war that affects many countries, and we'll get back to you with the latest that we have.
I suppose the flip side, thank you, we would appreciate an update. The flip
Of course.
side would be if
And again, just a reminder for people watching, when we say we're going to take it back, it means we get the answer and get it directly to the reporter and then have it, and obviously in this case, as a fluid situation, we'll continue to watch it.
Thank you. And insofar as you're looking into it, if there are American citizens in Iran, which we haven't gotten an estimate of how many Americans might be in Iran,
Sure.
if there are injuries or deaths there, we would also be interested.
Well, yes, again, the messaging is for also Americans who are in Iran, and again, urging them to go to travel.state.gov, and we're certainly aware of them. Our task force is working on all of this for every American who is in that region, which provides a different dynamic for some, whether it is, of course, Israel, Iraq or Iran, et cetera. Wherever they may be in the Middle East, we're there for them.
Thank you. The other question is on diplomacy. So we understand the Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in some sort of contact with the Iranians. How would you encourage us to think about that contact? Is that a prelude to negotiations? What's the nature of that of his engagement with the Iranians?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it at all, except there are things that we know, which is that there had been negotiations, that we had gotten Iran to the table. We'd been having those conversations, led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. And we know that the president, from his statement, which is, I think, worth noting again, because it's very specific in its nature, and also, I must say, when I saw it, very Trump-like in his statement, as a man who is serious about everything he addresses, but in this particular kind of way, when it's existential, life and death, that he genuinely, it's not posturing. He wants to have it be solved diplomatically. He knows it can be. He knows, based on what he's accomplished already in the past, and the nature of human beings, which in business you learn a lot about as well, but certainly in his governmental experience and as a leader. Again, he said, directly from the president, quote, based on the fact that there is a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
On that front, do you have an understanding of why there's now a 2-week window for diplomacy? Because at the same time, the White House said yesterday they understand it might be a couple of weeks before the Iranians achieve a nuclear weapon.
No, but he has his reasons, and he's the one who knows, and that is the specificity of his statement. And I'll leave it at that. All right? Thank you. Yes, sir, at the end here.
So on Ukraine, you said that...
Can you tell me your name and your outlet?
Oskar Gorzyński, Polish Press Agency.
Go ahead.
So, you said that you're not going to react to a single quote from Russian officials, but over the past few weeks, Russia has made it pretty clear that they're not interested in real negotiations. They killed a U.S. citizen. They struck the Boeing office in Kiev, and the president has repeatedly threatened sanctions on Russia if that happens. So why no action yet? I mean, how does that show peace through strength?
Well, this is one of the reasons why we don't have negotiations in the press, debates between people reading things on the news, quotes in newspapers or made in a moment or on a website, that there are much more complex things that are happening, other conversations, the culmination of multiple other negotiations with Iran is an example in one case, summits and negotiations with Russia and Ukraine, the parties themselves meeting. We've always said that we will not take, essentially for Russia, we're not going to listen to what they say, we're going to watch what they do. That remains true. But what you would do in this moment is not at issue. What matters are the people who've been involved for months now, dealing with the parties directly, the leaders of countries in the world, but the most powerful leader in the world right now, Donald Trump, who would likely know a little bit more about the nature of the situation than you or I, and I think you might have to agree that he may know more. So I think it's important to not second guess the president, and to not speculate, and to not presume that what he's doing is not in the process of peace, but in fact specifically in that track. And I'm wondering for Matt Lee, who's been studious with his phone, if you do have something you'd like to ask or add.
I actually do.
I'm surprised.
My question is about
Matt Lee of the Associated Press, for those of you who don't know him. The 2 people in the world. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Of the 25,000, you said that you couldn't break it down.
That's correct.
How many were Israel, how many were West Bank, and how many were Iran.
That's right.
But is it correct that the only evacuation flight that has happened so far was the one for embassy staff and family members on Wednesday?
I will not characterize that or agree with you or not. I won't give you an answer to that. Sorry. It's one of those things we can't hear. In the days prior to this conflict, I might go back and forth with you, but I can't answer that.
Okay, well, because there was a comment from the embassy spokesperson about actually. So, are you aware of when these people call? I assume they're calling the number that.
Yes, they are. I've called that number. I don't know if many of you have. You called that number? You can call that number, and you'll get someone from.
You don't go on to permanent hold.
No, they're busier now. After the briefing Tuesday, they're busier. So, but be persistent and do the form online. That's always a good idea.
So the 25,000 people who have reached out,
yes,
reached out via that platform, either online or calling.
Correct.
And they, do you know how many of those 25,000 have then taken the information that they've been given or the guidance that they've been given, and then left?
There's data that I won't be sharing, and even in general, it's not data that I can share with you. The fact that we got the number from the team, I felt really excited about. Now you're making me feel like it's not so good. No, it is. It's a great number, but I will not break it down.
Okay.
I will not go into descriptions that highlight a situation or an environment within this region of conflict. I don't think it's wise.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, yes, sir. Back.
Thank you very much. I have 2 questions. Regional sources reported that Iran is using human shields to protect its military bases and forces. Same thing Hamas did in Gaza. This tactic has reportedly been employed in several areas, including Kermanshah city in Iranian Kurdistan. Do you have any information on this, and would you please be willing to comment?
What I can say, it's going to be brief. You won't necessarily like it, but I can say that we are aware of those reports, that the Iranian regime is using human shields to protect its military bases and forces, and I have nothing further for you at this time, but we are aware. Yes, sir.
Next.
Well, you have one more?
Yes, one more.
All right, and then we'll come directly to you. Yes, sir.
Danny Danon, Israel's representative to the United Nations, claimed that Iran has attempted to assassinate President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. He said today at the United Nations. Do you want to comment on it?
No, I would suggest you contact the ambassador, but I have no comment on that. Yes, sir. All right, now, yes.
Thank you, Tammy. To question one on Iran and the other one on Iraq. I'm sure you may have heard from the Iranian foreign minister, which he said that we are not coming back to the table unless the Israeli stops strikes on Iran. And they are not going to negotiate with the U.S. until the U.S. will stop Israeli to attack Iranian. Are you willing to broker a ceasefire if that helps you to make a deal with Iranian?
Obviously, I can't speculate on that. I'm not going to characterize what's happening now or the reaction by the President or the Secretary of State to what those negotiations might be. So you know that's a standard basis here, is we're not going to do that. But as you do know, of course, from the President's remarks, is that he still holds out the hope for negotiations. And there's also been a reinforcement that Iran and its proxy should not target U.S. interests or personnel, and if they do, the consequences will be dire. So we can reinforce that. And of course, the ultimate red line, which has been repeated constantly, because it's what the President sees as being the most important aspect, is that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That is not a negotiable dynamic. All right, yes, sir.
Another question on Iraq.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Sorry.
No, we'll keep going here.
I have a non-Middle East question.
Yes.
We're getting reports that Japan has canceled the annual security talks known as 2+2 with Secretary Rubio and Defense Secretary Hegseth because of U.S. demands for them to increase their defense spending. Do you have any comment on this? And has Tokyo communicated with
No, I have
Washington?
no comment on that at this point. Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
Thank you. Tell me two questions, one on China and about the Iran and Israel war. It was reported that the Chinese cargo plane was headed to Iran. Has there been any detection of Chinese actions or cooperation to support Iran?
Let's take that back, shall we? Get back to her with an answer on that. What is your next one, please?
One more question, please. Iran's nuclear weapons are threatening the entire world. If the United States intervenes in a war between Israel and Iran, do you think it will need support or cooperation from its allies?
Well, we've made very clear, I think there's, if anything is obvious to the world, it's that President Trump has demands regarding that situation. His concern is the fact that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We know, of course, since October 7th, Israel remains in the posture of defending itself and the existential threat that is posed in that region by Iran. Our efforts clearly reflect the President's commitment to diplomacy first, to diplomacy being the thing that he believes will and can succeed, but he's also a pragmatic man. And this is why it's probably the most transparent leader globally right now, is making it clear publicly about his positions and when he would be willing to be making decisions about that. But we are always working with our allies and our partners. It's clear, and that will be also evident when the President and Secretary of State go to The Hague for the NATO meeting next week. All right, now go ahead in the back. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Jenny, on Bangladesh. Given UN Human Rights Commission Chief Volker Turk concern over the banning of political parties in Bangladesh, also Human Rights Watch has accused the UNIS-led interim government for arbitrarily targeting Awami League supporters. Does the U.S. consider this violation of democratic principle and condemn these actions?
Obviously, when it comes to let's say, a White House reaction to what is occurring in another country, I would suggest you contact the White House. But for when it comes to Secretary of State and the State Department, let's take that back, and we'll get an answer for you in that regard. But what I can tell you about Bangladesh is that Deputy Secretary Landau met with Bangladesh National Security Advisor Rahman yesterday, I should say Wednesday, and discussed the interim government's efforts ahead of the national elections. They discussed the U.S.-Bangladesh relationship, including expanding trade and commercial ties. The United States is committed to working with Bangladesh to promote peace and stability in the region.
And I have a second short question on
All right.
same. What is the State Department response to the alleged fabricated charges against Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the rise of mob killing and violence, and the imprisonment of individuals like 100 journalists without trial under this interim government? Will you condemn this and ask them to free them?
We will take that back, and I'll get you an answer as soon as we can get one for you. Yes, sir, in the middle here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy. The Turkish President Erdogan hosted the Armenian Prime Minister and his delegation in Istanbul today, and he mentioned that they talked regional issues, including the stability and peace in the Caucasian region and the problems or the issues between Turkey and Armenia. How do you follow these meetings?
Well, I've not spoken to the Secretary specifically about that particular instance, but I'm sure we will be able to get to you his opinion and the nature of how he's reacting. I would also suggest the White House as well for you for more information in that regard. But if we can take that back. And with that, that is going to be it for me today. It is, again, Friday. My thanks to you for coming up on a day that is not our normal briefing day, and I appreciate it. Have a lovely day, and we will see you next week. Tuesday and Thursday is where is it? Is security here or is security not here? Let's get this going because this has gotten a little old and inappropriate. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so 3:15 here on the East Coast. You just watched the State Department briefing. Always interesting to hear about all the countries that are represented when it comes to just questions about them. So we saw a lot of footage earlier, too. We saw President Trump leaving on Air Force One. And I don't know if it's the way the sun or the clouds are hitting it, but that's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. I can't keep my eyes off of it. Old Glory times 2. And, well, really times 3, because you have what was originally on top of the White House with the prisoner of war and missing in action flags, but now these big, bold, beautiful flagpoles in front, in the north lawn and the south lawn of the White House. President Trump knows style, he knows building, and we got to see a master class the other day, not only in a press briefing, but also in building, talking about that sand that goes in and the flower bed around it. He has an eye for design, and he showcased that just the other day once again.
Always good to see it, and we're glad that you're with us here on Right Side, of course, as we cover all sorts of news that's happening. You know, even into the weekend, if there is a decision when it comes to the United States and Iran, we'll be here live right here at the channel. Of course, you can always catch various uploads on various social platforms as well. But if there's no breaking news this weekend, have a great weekend. It's summer officially tomorrow. We were looking at the weather in the southeast, and oh my gosh, 90s and sunny. I know that's the deep south for you here in Auburn, but wherever you are watching right now, thanks so much for streaming in. We hope you have a great day tomorrow, great weekend, and then we'll see them Monday, right?
Yes, wheels up. It's the weekend for President Trump en route to Bedminster, New Jersey. We'll be right here for all the action in the loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama. For all of my colleagues and the magnificent Matthew Alvarez, I'm Robert McNeely. Have a wonderful weekend with those you love. God bless you, and we'll see you very soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.